Hello, and welcome you to another edition of the Seahawks Syndicate. I'm your host, Brando. That's down there, Mookie, Dan, Bryce. We welcome you.
How you doing, folks? Back on In the House to the Syndicate. Got my boys back in the house. They're going to be beaming with big old smiles today because when you cover football and you get to cover your favorite team on this planet Earth, there is no greater hour than this kind of time of year. A lot of fun times a year, you know, draft, free agency, potential, start of spring training, hope springs anew. But no better place than you're in the playoffs. You got the number one seed, is there? So, look, we're going to get into a lot of stuff tonight, a lot of places to cover. We got some breaking news to look into with you guys, but I want to vibe check right now. I want to get a feel for where we stand. Mookie, let's start with you, man. How you feeling here? Coming out of this weekend, where we stand, having a chance to contemplate as we do with this past year a little bit more than you would on the week to week. You know, you're in the middle of it, just stuff constantly going pump, 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 pump. Just get that little bit of a week to think about it. Where are you sitting?
Confident and nervous at the same time. The confidence is, I think the Seahawks are going to win. Spoiler alert for our predictions. Like, I'm pretty confident that they'll win. The nervousness is, of course, if I'm incorrect, because let's face it, this is 3 playoff games in a row. Seattle's faced a division rival. The Rams' embarrassments in the COVID year, the 49ers again in 2022, they were pretty heavy underdogs. And after the first half, like, that was kind of like what we expected. And now this one feels different because unlike the 2020 and 2022 teams where for different reasons, despite the records, I didn't see a Super Bowl squad. This one I do. And I don't want to have a season as great as the regular season was end in such bitter, disappointing fashion, mostly because of what could happen to my social media and the field goals comment section afterwards. So nevertheless, though, I'm just geared up. I actually prefer that this game is on Saturday than a Sunday for some reason.
Me too, as well as for the fact that it's making the Niners play 4 games in 21 days, which is a little tight. Dan, where are you at coming off Wild Card weekend?
I cannot wait for it to get here. Can't get here fast enough because the reason is like this whole week and a half, like I've just been riding this wave, right? Like I've mentioned many times, I know I've talked about it on the show that I felt like we were going to be experiencing this next year. That's kind of what I thought we were working towards. And to me, this is a year early. Never expected them to win 14 games and challenge for the number 1 seed. But the closer we get to the game, the more my pragmatism it kicks in my rational mind, and I'm already thinking about 2026 and how hard a first place schedule is going to be, and how all these 3 teams in the NFC West, they all have cap space and they all have aggressive front offices. It's going to be harder next year, even if we're a better team next year. And so this kind of went for me emotionally the last couple of days from this is great, it's unexpected, it's gravy, let's enjoy it, to we should probably win this one because it's hard to get back. You never know when you're going to have another opportunity, and the hill might be a little steeper next year.
Well, and to your point on that, I'd like to hear from Bryce because I'm getting asked a lot this question. I'm going to go back to you two guys on the same question that I didn't prep you guys before. That's what we call a curveball. But we're responding also one of your thoughts where you're at off this wild card weekend, but responding a bit to with Dan on that. I'm getting a lot from Niner fans that are trying to sell me on the fact that the Hawks are under a lot of pressure with this game. I get a lot of comparisons to the Washington Commanders. Dan's buying none of it. Like I suspected you wouldn't either, bro. Or the Commanders or the Lions. The Lions thought they were for a long run too. They thought they were going to be riding high forever. What do you got to say on this, Bryce, with your reaction to Wild Card Weekend, but also that given point to this? Is there a building pressure here?
Well, one, I think you're always under pressure in the NFL. It's a performance-based business, so it doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to perform. And when I get the narrative, Brandon. I've been asked it too as well. To me, you look at this team, I feel like in some respects, Seattle is playing with house money in a regard. No one thought they'd be the number 1 seed at the beginning of the year. We were not going to get to 10 wins. We were lucky if Vegas gave us 7 or 8 wins on the season. We've exceeded all those expectations with a quarterback that everyone thought was going to regress to being New York Jets Sam Darnold again. We had shipped off all these key pieces in Geno and DK. How are we ever going to survive? This whole thing was crumbling. John Schneider doesn't know what he's doing. we're eroding at the studs, to a team now that's sitting there going, yeah, we're the whole way of going to the Super Bowl right now runs through Seattle. And I look at it and going, I think this team looks at this as an opportunity more than there is pressure to, if we fail, then this whole thing falls apart. I think it's yeah, if it doesn't work out, cool. We get to go and have an opportunity to go back and do it next year. Now we've got that chip on our shoulder that we didn't finish our job that we were setting out to do, because I've never felt this entire time there's pressure on Seattle to go out and, run the table. And if they don't, it's a disappointment and it's a failure of a season. We weren't supposed to be here at the beginning of the year to begin with. So the Niners kind of were. If you think about it, that's the way I look at this, is everyone wants to give them the injuries and all that they've gone through, which is, again, Kyle Shanahan and that front office doing a fantastic job of keeping this team together and getting them to the point. But all we heard at the beginning of the year were the Niners were going to finish first. It was them or the Rams. Look at how easy their schedule was. They're supposed to be here right now. We weren't. We were going to be lucky to be a wild card team or finish bottom of the division and be already planning our offseason draft predictions.
Dan, I saw you shaking your head, so let me go to you for Mookie on this one. Pressure building here. Are the hands is shaken a little bit extra in this game in this way, and how they put it, because you're the number one seed in the year you've had?
No, not at all. And I think, Bryce hit on some of these points, and I kind of did already, but third youngest roster in the league. They weren't expected to be here. They have really solid veteran leadership, including from the coaching staff, right? That's not going to let them get carried away with that. They've taken a real professional attitude to all of this. And I think their mindset is so even keel, and that's a reflection of their head coach. And I think it's hard. I think when you get situations like this where teams are on the verge of a championship and we talk about pressure, it's usually because you can see the edge of the cliff. You can see either salary cap escalation coming up, and they can't kick the can down the road anymore. They're going to have to clean some things up. That's not the 49ers. That doesn't apply in this case. Or key pivotal players who are maybe at the precipice of the end of their career, right? I think that applies. I mean, I think, who knows how much longer Christian McCaffrey is going to be able to keep doing what he's doing. Nobody thought that he'd be able to play 17 games this year with his history. Are we at the end for Trent Williams, right? There's some other pieces involved as well. But I think that the 49ers are under constant self-imposed pressure, because they and their fan base, man, what are they, and the people who cover them and everything else, all they talk about is the Lombardis. All they talk about is their history, and they're the gold standard, and they're the champ. They haven't won in 30 years. They have the pressure because they have the expectations, and they've fed into that themselves. Seahawks have zero pressure on them tomorrow. Saturday. If they lose Saturday, no one's going to say they failed. No one's going to say that they should have gone farther or that it was a failure of a season. It's, wow, they won 14 games. I think even if they lose on Saturday, they're going to take that team to the wire, and everyone universally that knows ball is going to look at this team and go, okay, they realistically, if they wanted to, without touching free agency, they could bring the entire 53-man roster back next year with where they're at with the cap. They could do that. 49ers probably can't. Not many teams can. I don't think there's any pressure on the Seahawks.
Are you a voice of dissension on this, Mookie, or do you find yourself in the same place?
I think there's a lot of pressure on the 49ers because their window has been open for like 7 years now. From 2019, which is when they had their first of 2 Super Bowl losses under Kyle Shanahan, to now, the only times that they've been bad are the years where they have been extraordinarily injured, meaning the 2020 season and then last year, where it felt like everybody was on injured reserve, and it's really hard to get out of such a hole. And then this year, they've had the same thing happen to them in terms of injuries, but now they're making a run at it, and they have a chance to get a home Super Bowl if they can really pull off this remarkable run. So on that side, San Francisco's window, I don't think is infinite. They're fortunate that it has extended through 2 quarterbacks, Garoppolo, which was on a very short shelf life because he's Jimmy Garoppolo, and now they've got one with Brock Purdy, who he's got his money, and he's been a great story. And they've been a playoff team 3 of the 4 seasons he has been starting for them. With Seattle, there is going to be pressure in the sense that it's still 6 years without a playoff win. And it's still the pressure of losing or potentially losing against a division rival, a heated division rival whom you just beat a couple weeks ago. But Seattle's window is just opening. So how long it lasts, I don't know. I think really nobody truly knows. And as much as I think Sam Darnold's a good quarterback at this point, would he be someone you consider to be at the same level of a Patrick Mahomes or a Josh Allen, et cetera, for whom the Super Bowl windows for those respective teams are going to be longer just because they're on the roster and they're healthy for the most part? Obviously, Patrick isn't right now. So I don't know how long a Super Bowl window with Darnold would last. Would it last about as long as the Hasselbeck window did, which was not very long, but the peak was pretty good? But the Seahawks, as Dan said, very young team. So this could be maybe like a more, in some respects, like the 2012 team, where there was great disappointment because I don't think people expected a team with a rookie quarterback to have a legitimate shot at making the Super Bowl. And if Chris Clemens doesn't tear his ACL on that cursed field at Washington, there's a chance that might have been the difference between winning and losing against the Falcons. And maybe, just maybe, they would have knocked San Francisco off in the trilogy, and who knows what goes on from there. But they kept pretty much everybody from the 2012 squad. And then in 2013, they took that next step, and they were able to win it all. So that's kind of my best case scenario for the Seahawks. Should they not win the Super Bowl this year, or should they not win a playoff game this weekend? So there's pressure on both teams, which is a cop-out answer. But in terms of who there's more pressure on, it's probably San Francisco because of the guys that Dan mentioned, McCaffrey, Trent Williams. You're going to have to replace those guys eventually. And even George Kittle, that whole dynamic has changed with George Kittle, because for a 32-year-old guy who's been as oft injured as he is, or has been, and now getting an Achilles rupture, like now you're going to have to think a little bit, as far as a replacement for Kittle down the line, I would suspect. So there's a whole lot going on there for San Francisco. And, if it doesn't happen for them this year, when will it? And for Seattle, I think that there is still a chance that they'll be at least a perennial playoff team with McDonald, just with the way this roster is built.
And Brandon, let me just clarify one more thing real quick, because I hope I didn't come off like I was saying, no pressure on the Seahawks at all.
No, I just wanted to cover as a topic. Yeah.
The other side of it, I hope I didn't come across as saying that like the 49ers have this like avalanche of pressure on their shoulders and this gorilla they're carrying. They really don't. They weren't supposed to be here with all the injuries. I mean, it's a remarkable job, which I think both these teams should go into Saturday feeling pretty free and easy, which usually ends up resulting in a great football game.
I agree to a degree. I also think, like off of Mookie said, though, also, and I wasn't trying to infer that all, but I thought it'd be a good pivot point to this, because this is something, and again, it's mainly been Niner fans, which I just sense there's a bit of cope in them just as trying to present this idea. It's not really Hawk fans coming out and doing it. It's more of like, they're like, you guys are under the pressure, man. No, you are. I would offer, though, I think like Mookie said, there's a little more pressure here to them beyond the amount of years it's been since they haven't won. The fact that this window we thought was already going to be coming to a shut, and yes, they've made some decisions to help themselves the long term, like eating $100 million of dead money this year. But you guys all just chopped it up well with the amount of just pure retirements that they could have off on the board. And you know what happens if all three of those guys retire that have recently all been paid?
Yeah, no, they might not make the playoffs next year.
$53 million of Brock Purdy comes into bloom.
No, yeah.
I think that there's a level of pressure, and you can feel it in a particular argument, and it's the argument of, is it the collagen or is it the substation? You're in that debate of that fan base right there. I think you're sensing right there at the heart of it. That's pressure right there, baby. I can see diamonds being formed out of that stuff right there.
I think you touched on the key word there. It's fan base. I don't think the players feel any pressure, or the organization feels any pressure. This is a reset year for them. They got all that money off their books. They purposely went out and weren't aggressive in free agency, and they're trying to clean the books off a little bit. It's this insecurity, this fight that we're getting from the fan base. And I'm sure that you've all experienced it, because I can't avoid it. It's from in my opinion, it's from such a place of insecurity, because they're worried that like, oh God, if we lose again on Saturday, then I have to look in the mirror and admit to myself that the Seahawks are good, and that we're going to have to deal with them for quite some time. They're not ready to accept that yet. And so they're preemptively fighting this thing in such a nasty way, because they just don't want to face the truth that we might be pretty damn good now.
So I got one thing to add to this, and it comes from not a sense of, again, Seattle has pressure on them. The one thing this group, this nucleus of Seattle has to do is they've got to get over this hump of not winning playoff games. right? That's been something like important playoff games. We've struggled. We've won wild card games against teams like Detroit that we were supposed to beat and so on. But when it's come to NFC West, we've lost to the Niners last time we played them in the playoffs, and we lost to the Rams with John Wolford starting that game in the COVID season. This, we kind of, I would say, slayed the mini dragon by winning the NFC West this year to finally put the final stake in the 49ers in the divisional game in the playoffs when it's win or go home. There's no more tomorrow for the team that loses. That will allow, I think, this Seahawks team to finally get themselves back to being the full-on, we are a bully again of this division and in some respects of this conference.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
I wanted to add, let's not forget on the Niners side, Nick Bosa with 2 ACL tears in a few years. Like, I don't know if he's going to be the same again. Like,
Isn't
one
he a
is
third?
already
3?
Oh, was it
He had
3?
one in high school.
It's 3.
Yeah, one in high school, so 3.
Yeah.
All right. So
Yep.
that's that. Good things don't always come in threes. That one is a bad moment. So that's another thing that they have to monitor. But the second thing is, if we want to compare it to the Legion of Boom seasons, think about 2011. They got swept by San Francisco, who went on to go to the NFC Championship game. If they had a good punt returner, they might have made the Super Bowl that year. But their window was just starting, and they had something brewing there, and San Francisco was the top dog. They won the division in 2011. Then in 2012, Seattle goes on the rise, but they're just a little bit short of San Francisco. They split them in the season series, but Seattle was coming. They were nearby, just with the 42-13 drubbing, but San Francisco made the Super Bowl. They were ultimately still a little bit better than Seattle, I think. 2013, now it's a totally different story, where San Francisco is still very good, but Seattle ends up proving to be superior just to the blowout win the first time, close loss in San Francisco second time, and then, of course, the tip in the trilogy. And that broke San Francisco. That game broke them. Next season, Seahawks are still fine, go to the Super Bowl. San Francisco, they fire Harbaugh before the season even ends. I mean, in effect. Or actually, no, did he actually get fired? Yeah, I think he did. I don't even think he coached the last game. I think
It's one of those mutual parting of ways.
yeah, the
things,
mutual
I think.
parting of ways. And I believe it was the second game, Seattle against San Francisco, the one in Seattle, that mathematically eliminated the Niners from the playoffs. And that pretty much sent the Niners into spiraling out of control. So I don't think we're going to get the exact same scenario here if Seattle beats San Francisco, but I'm not going to completely rule it out, where there might be a little bit more of the talent drain coming for a 49ers team that has had a lot of the same dudes for a while. And they've made 2 Super Bowl runs, and they made an NFC championship run already and another one. But like, nothing lasts forever.
Yes, indeed. I'm not to hammer this any longer. I want to get to a couple others. Definitely got a lot of topics to go here, but let's also remember that fan base, being that the pressure's coming from them. This was a fan base that was already pushing for Shanahan to get out the door last year.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a heavy amount of voices.
Absolutely.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I think it's worth somewhat paying attention to on this, because like that fan base can get a little, I'm just saying, they're not maybe looking clearly despite the trees and the forest, all that good stuff. We do have, we got to get you guys up to date on some of the breaking news coming into this game. 2 important players. One that just came up. We got some good news, boys, on the fact that Walter Jones, that was me being hopeful there. Charles Cross. I'm sorry, I was caught dreaming for this over here. Charles Cross seems to be good to go, just as we hear Josh Jones is definitely out ski. But then, Bryce, I think you're going to have a particularly good perspective on this, and that is that we got Sam Darnold popping up on the injury report today with an oblique that had a lot of hands freaking out. It was happening to me when I was in midstream, and people were like, no, what's going on with this? Look up obliques. What's the treatment plan obliques? Like, can you learn to treat Sam with the oblique? So let's get an update from you here, Bryce, number 1, on the situation, but then number 2 on level of concern as coming from a quarterback on the throwing motion, where it's at, and level of concern within it.
So obviously we heard Sam talk. He came up and talked after it happened. The media gave him the availability. He said, I kind of tweaked something throwing on air. I'm going to basically play, which I think he's going to play and he's going to be effective. He's still going to be Sam Darnold. However, though, the thing about your oblique for a quarterback, when he said where it occurred is where it kind of poked up my antenna and was like, this is interesting. For quarterback, everything's rotational. It's all core based. And where your obliques are located are around kind of your core, your abdomen kind of area. They're in that. They're not a fun thing to tweak or pull or that, because it feels like someone's usually stabbing a knife in there when you do it bad enough. If it was on his right side, I'd say, yeah, we're going to be fine. And I think we're still going to be fine. But it being on his left side, when a quarterback is right-handed and you go to throw, you are trying to take all the weight that you've now established at the top of your drop and all these different awkward, positions you may get put in the pocket, and fire that back right hip as fast as you can towards the target you're going to. And your left side has to act as two things. It has to act as the pulling force to pull your left hip and the left side of your abdomen back towards to square you to the target, but it also has got to stop you. And so this is a situation for a rotational athlete where that can be a thing of like, you go to do that and rip that ball in, and it's not the 5-yard out. It's not the hitch route. It's you need to put this ball on a 2-layer over the linebacker in behind, that linebacker onto the face mask of JSN 15 yards downfield on an in break. And you might feel it, and they can try and shoot you up and try and limit that, how much it is impactful, but you get hit, you do things, it can start to wear on you. So it'll be interesting to see if Sam does a lot of rollouts in this game, because that aggravates it a lot, especially going to your left, is you now have to try and turn so much more to get that rotational force. We may not see, depending on the severity of it, we may not see a lot of rollouts from Sam in this game if it's significant enough.
I was thinking about that, especially rolls to the left. I just would seem logical that would be the biggest stressor on that muscle.
Your camera's frozen there, Dan.
Mine?
There we go. Boom,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good.
That might have been because
Dan, if I got to go to Drew Lock, what's your faith in this game versus not? I mean, does it drop significantly going in if you feel fairly confident, or is it like, I think he can get this done?
I think he can get it done. My confidence would drop a tick, but I think this offense and the way we're probably going to play against San Francisco anyway, the way that we played against them 10 days ago. And we were all together in training camp and we watched them. And I think we all agreed at the time that we saw a better version of Drew Lock than the one that left here. Even when he got to play in the mock game and when he played in preseason games, he just seemed like he had taken a step. He talked a lot about some of the mechanical work that Brian Dable did with him and Mike Kafka in New York and some of the footwork stuff. I would still be confident that we can beat this football team because I think the defense is that good, and I think we'll still be able to run the football against them.
Mookie?
If Locke has to play, then he is technically the most recent Seahawks quarterback to throw 2 touchdown passes against the Niners. If you remember, his very first start as a Seahawk was against San Francisco, and he wasn't terrible in that game. That was a much better defense. Yes, and remember the little Hollywood play, the fake double screen, and then down the middle to Colby Parkinson.
He had almost 300 yards.
I love that play.
Yeah.
Why don't they run that more?
I know.
Bryce, chamber that one. I'm coming back to you on that one. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, we're going to keep that in mind for game planning. But with the expectation that this is not going to be a shootout, I think that would increase the chance that Drew can be capable enough of beating the 49ers by just basically not being reckless, not being like the worst version of himself, especially with the fact that he's in a more run-heavy offense than he was in years past. So it's not like I'm expecting Drew Lock to be amazing. I don't need him to be the hero. I don't need Sam Darnold to be the hero. So my only concern would be if the Seahawks have to play from a deficit for much of the game. If that happens, then of course I'd have Darnold in there way more than Drew Lock. But Seattle's been so good in not playing from behind.
Well, and Dan didn't, in those 2 games he came in, they had him, at 4.5 yards an attempt or something. So Locke held up in those 2 games as far as running basically a playoff-like offense that you see a lot of these teams sometimes run when they want to. Wasn't this weekend. Teams were very loose and free with it this weekend to my eyes versus what we typically see at times in the playoffs.
Yeah, and of course,
he seems to be a fit to it.
Of course, there was the Philadelphia game at home, and which was kind of a reminiscent of some of the games we've seen from Drew Lock over the last 4 or 5 weeks, where it was kind of hit and miss, and it was a little clunky the first 3 quarters. But when they needed him to come up with a big drive at the end, he just got it done with a bunch of big time throws. One question that I would have for Bryce is, if you're unsure at all about the stability of that oblique and how much you trust him to just let it go. As a play caller, how are you accounting for that early in your script to kind of not just kind of get him warmed up, get him into the flow of the game, but also for your edification as a coach to be able to see, okay, I can run the full call sheet. He's good to go.
You're really going to figure that out in pregame warm-up. It's not something where he's going to get better throughout or it's going to get worse. It's just going to be there. It's like, how do I put this? It's like one of those situations where you get a really bad Charlie horse and you're kind of just stuck with it. Like it's tight. You can move, you can do things, but the pain doesn't get much worse and it doesn't get much better instantly. It's just kind of there. It's the same thing with the oblique. So it's how do you manage that pain or that discomfort? And you're going to find that out in pregame warmups. You're going to have him, and and if anyone's at the game and they get there early and they see them in warmups, like see what they have Sam doing, because he's going to be out there, and some of the throws, it's going to be awkward body throws. It's not going to be, hey, he gets to the top of the clean pocket and rips the ball. It's going to be that he's now off his platform. He's rolling to his right. Like a prime example of a throw that Sam may struggle with is the one he made, the 24-yard completion in week 18 to Cooper Kupp moving to his right. It's that getting out of the pocket. It's that violent movement to move and be explosive and then get out there and then throw back across my body. Well, to do that, you're really pulling your left side of your body back to get that rotation through. That's where you're going to see if Sam's got limitations to it. It's not going to be on the easy quick out or in break. It's going to be on those throws where it's like, hey, you're being forced to be athletic and move and use muscles that don't regularly get used. And so for him to pull it on air, it had to be him doing something maybe abnormal to what he normally does. So, hey, I'm rolling to my left, and maybe they've changed the dropout at 12 yards to now, hey, we've noticed something with the Niners. We're going to run it at 15 and drop out. And now Sam's trying to put a little bit more on it, and just it tweaked.
And why don't they call that screen anymore?
Oh, I knew you were coming back to that, Brandon.
Remember the Niners ran on us that year too, and the Niners were successful with us. So they hit us
we
with
don't
it as
run
well.
a lot of I don't know. I look at it this way. If you're running that screen, remember at that time, Colby Parkinson, was he tight end 2 at that time, or was he tight end 3 still at that time? Was Disley still around? Disley was still around, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now without Arroyo, are you comfortable in calling that to Callerup or Brady Russell?
Or Saubert?
Well, no, but we've got Arroyo off the freaking thing. He might be active this week.
No, he's out. They already said he's out.
Yeah.
They ruled him out because of Josh Jones's injury. Because if you had to bring him up, you had to cut somebody.
Yeah, I was figured they were going to, because it's a number you need to keep the other, and I'm glad they did. I don't want to take Saubert off the field for what he brings for a blocker and how good your run blocking is going to be.
Here's potentially another aspect of the Sam Darnold thing. If they have any doubt an hour before the game on Sunday or on Saturday that he might be able to make it through the whole game.
Oh no.
Don't say it. You know what that might
I already
mean?
said it, but I
don't
said
say it. Yep. Don't say it, Dad.
Sam becomes the emergency quarterback, Mookie. That's what he's saying.
We might see the package.
Oh,
the package. The big package.
The mythical.
Mythical.
Yes.
No.
We have
almost legendary, legendary package at this point. All the plays they had drawn up.
No, this is what they're going to do. They're going to roll out the Seneca Wallace play from the NFC Championship game versus Carolina. They're going to run Milroe down the left side, and Drew's going to lay it out, or Sam's going to lay it out to Jalen.
Watch Milroe have an insane freaking hands.
Yeah, he's going to rock. He's basically going to be like as you said, the new Seneca Wallace for a day. So everybody's going to somebody in the comments release the package. Yeah, that's what I say when it's delayed by FedEx.
The way McDonald seems to like to toy with teams and be coy about these things, I could see them having Milroe active on Saturday just to plant that seeded out with the Niners at kickoff. Like, it wouldn't shock me.
If I was the Niners, I'd be cheering for you to put Milroe, considering what happened last time we ran him out there against the Niners in week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to run the packages, and I'm okay with the cloak and dagger stuff, but then that was good. We got him faked out, guys.
Milroe, also, here's your
if he's not active, I think that would be just another indicator that the team's pretty confident he's going to make it through the game.
Indeed. We did. Sorry, go back, Bryce.
Well, I was just going to say the fact he was there for media availability. he's playing.
Yeah,
They're going to find a way.
it's
He's
good.
going to play.
And thank goodness he said something. Like we've seen pitchers, kind of push through when they feel a tweak before. Let's just hope this oblique injury ends up like Derek Hall's and not Brian Wu's.
Amen to that.
Oh,
We did get at least a little bit of a counterbalance on the seesaw of news with this, because while that jumped up as a blip, all of us kind of got through this week a little bit of going into this going, okay, Kittle's out and they're down Bosa's, and their inside linebacker cores to 5 and 6. And then we get the start of the week where Fred Warner starts doing his redemption tour, like he's trying to bring that energy out, almost like he's trying to, secret style it all, speak it into being. And you're going, wait, and you start doing some math. But Mookie, we actually got some news here in regards to Fred Warner at the same tandem time as Darnold, didn't we?
Yeah, contrary to popular belief, looking good in regular practice drills and not actual 11-on-11 stuff does not prepare you for real football. And so Fred Warner will not play. He's been ruled out. I can't believe that was really a story, that the idea he would play this week. And frankly, I don't think he plays next week either if San Francisco wins this game. The Super Bowl might be a different story because you have that extra week off. But I'm not dissing Fred Warner in any way whatsoever, because it is amazing that there's even a possibility that he could still play in the playoffs given the horrific ankle injury he suffered in, like mid-October. But he'll be out, so the 49ers are going to rely on Eric Kendricks and either Garrett Wallow or D. Winters at linebacker, maybe all three because Winters is questionable. But I know Fred Warner is a beast, and Fred Warner played on a bad ankle last year too, didn't he? So this would have been a step too far. No pun intended. I don't think that Warner was ever really going to be ready. But I guess on the other side for the 49ers, we could see Ricky Pearsall this time around. And Pearsall, who has no touchdowns on the season, by the way. So he's not Jerry Rice 2.0, but he is basically the best receiver on the 49ers. And that is one wrinkle that we could see this weekend. But again, he's questionable and he had 3 limited practices. I don't think that means he's a lock to play. He's had a weird year in terms of it's seemingly ready and then he isn't ready and then he's practicing, but he's not playing. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. But and Trent Williams is good to go. No injury designation. So for 49ers fans who are going, hey, we didn't have Williams and Pearsall this last time. Well, you got at least one back. And if Pearsall does play, then we'll see how it goes. And if it still ends in a Seattle win, I don't know what more you can say. We didn't have Kittle. Fine. You haven't had a Kittle in a couple of other games. The Seahawks beat the 49ers too.
True enough. I think they've got some other spots that are in as good a health as you could ask. You mentioned the offensive line, secondaries. I know Seagulls, but hey, Niner fans are saying Seagulls better to me in my chat than Jair Brown with a loss there. Dan, to your mind, what's this Niner defense like difference-wise from a Fred Warner? We saw it a little bit, of course, a couple weeks ago, but we saw also a Niner defense play pretty well with Kendricks and Wallow out there this past week.
They do. And I'm sure you guys have heard some of the same thing. I've had Niner fans tell me this week that Kendricks and Wallow are an upgrade over Winters and Bethune, and that they're better, and that they lucked out. They did get. Sometimes you have to be lucky and good, and that they were able to find. I think they signed Kendricks 4 or 5 weeks ago. That they were able to find like a solid vet like that, basically off the street at the time. That's not something that's readily available usually. And so, now they're thankful that they have it. I wasn't worried about Warner. I talked about it with Rob Guerrera today from the Gold Standard Network. Like, even if he had played, which, first of all, when they said it was up to the doctors, that's when I knew that it wasn't probably going to happen this week. Like, all you have to do to remind yourself of how ridiculous it would be is go back and watch the injury again. Now, that's a fun thing to do, but you cannot dismiss or downplay how severe that injury was. And it's one thing, like Mookie said, to be able to run around on a practice field, or Bryce, you may have said it. It's another thing to be able to take on blocks and stack and shed and have guys coming at you. And that's just, man, it's, even if he had played, he wasn't going to be Fred Warner. And I don't think they put him back on the field unless he's at least 90% of Fred Warner, because like we were talking about before we went live tonight, like maybe then you get that extra 10% boost to the team for him being back out there. But I was impressed with the job they did against Philadelphia. Now it's kind of apples to oranges, like how dysfunctional is the Eagles offense versus how much better did the 49ers defense play. Like, did a nice job of limiting Saquon on the ground. And it's easy to forget sometimes, but AJ Brown catches a couple of footballs and we're having a different conversation today. It wasn't like it was a dominating performance, but it was solid. And I thought it was a good way for them to bounce back from the week before. And I expect them to, to be solid again Saturday. Saleh will have a good plan and he'll get his guys to play.
I felt like Bryce, from my perspective, watching Kittle, just building on this kind of point of things, that when you see him sustain that injury, you're seeing him favor the other leg and then land hard on that leg. It reminded me of Daniel Jones, the injury he sustained this year, where he's got a broken leg and then he snaps the other Achilles, the other leg. Really kind of felt like to me that there was a little bit of this at play when I'm thinking about Fred Warner with this. Like, man, it's going to be a bad look if you put him out there. And this now happens with him a week after Kittle, and you didn't kind of come in there to take care of these players. You let them almost kind of determine when they weren't going to play.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys saw the photo of Kittle, like it's a black and white photo, and he's sitting on the medical table in the locker room, and you look at his left ankle, which is the one that was the prior injured one, and it looks basically like it's 3 sizes the size it should be. And then obviously he tears his Achilles in the other leg. Like, if you don't protect these players from themselves sometimes, like, I always go back. I don't know if you guys have watched Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino, and you look at the medical way that they treat the players. And basically it comes to the point with Lawrence Taylor's character where it's like, you have to sign a waiver that if you basically die on the football field, you can't sue us. But like, the way that they deal with these players, and sometimes you got to protect them from themselves. And if you put Fred Warner out there and he's not 100%, and yes, he wants to be there and help his teammates because that's who he is, but something goes worse and that becomes no longer just a bad injury, it becomes a career-ending injury, there's going to be a lot more questions to be answered by the medical staff there outside of just the, substations and collagen levels of
EMF. Yeah, it's EMF. Yeah,
all that stuff.
I'm telling you guys, give it 20 years. There's going to be a lot of vindication out there. A lot of tinfoil hat wearing vindicators. I'm telling you. Mookie, in regard to this point, I'm going to want to know all three of your guys' take on this one because it is going to affect into this upcoming game. And that being that, did the Niners do something defensively to solve the Eagles, or was that more about the Eagles' inadequacies coming into the full weight of things? I mean, we're hearing stuff about, I'm sure you guys are hearing some of the same stuff that has your eyes opening for a Super Bowl winning quarterback where they're like, we got to restrict stuff for Jalen at this point. We got to almost like there's training wheels. I'm feeling, I think, on the offense. I'd love to hear what you guys kind of have on your take of that. But with you, Mookie, at the front of it, do you think that this was more about the Niners finding those answers? Or is this more about the A.J. Brown drop ball, even within the context of a rudimentary offense of the Eagles right now?
Dropped balls.
Drop balls, plural.
Solving the Eagles offense is like solving a 4-piece puzzle. I mean, it's not difficult, and that's why they were 21st in points per drive and 19th in points scored. And that's with a very, very good defense, probably gifting them short fields or even getting the odd non-offensive touchdown. So I will credit Robert Saleh because he is doing so much. He's doing as much as he can with a diminished roster to at least have even the backups to the backups to the backups look competent. But when Jalen Hurts operates an offense in which it seems like the receivers only have 3 or 4 routes maximum, and Jalen Hurts will pretty much not throw. Evidently, the one time he wants to throw in the middle of the field is when Dallas Goedert is triple covered with the game on the line. But otherwise, Hurts is... He might be the case study as far as the QB wins thing. And actually, I heard this on Bryce's show with Jason Apani earlier. Jalen Hurts, I've never been super high on him. We know his ceiling is, okay, he's good enough to win Super Bowl MVP in a game, and he's good enough to be MVP runner-up, which I think was in 2022. But he needs so much to go right. If he is not a threat in the running game and or the running game of Philadelphia isn't formidable, then his limitations as a quarterback get exposed. And it feels like he has some of the worst habits of Russell Wilson, except he doesn't have the arm, and he plays too much like the Russell Wilson from the late Broncos, Steelers, Giants days. So I think that San Francisco's defense is not atrocious. They are able to succeed in good situational areas, like the end of that game. But otherwise, that Eagles offense is busted. There's a reason why they moved on from their offensive coordinator. It sucks. And even then, the Niners still gave up 106 yards to Saquon Barkley. That run defense may still be an issue. They still have rookies on that defensive line and CJ Weston out for Collins. So I think that the Niners defense is not like Chicago bad, whereas like, Chicago's defense without turnovers, we know is clearly a bottom 5 unit. But the Niners defense is definitely exploitable. The only difference for the Seahawks this time around is you got to finish your damn drives. Like you don't be wasteful. That's basically down to it. Chicago didn't really waste their opportunity. They just couldn't stop anybody. Even the Colts didn't totally waste their opportunities. Again, they just couldn't stop the Niners offense. The Seahawks wasted some opportunities. Otherwise, it would have had a much easier win against the Niners the second time around.
Dan, the Niners find any answers here against the Eagles, or is this just love to see your take and a little bit of your take on the Eagles too? Like this, I'd like to hear about this with Hurts and your standpoint of the Eagle team with this kind of sandwich together a bit if you could.
I mean, I thought they played a clean game. I thought they played about as well as they can play, given some of their shortcomings on that side of the ball on the roster. But it's hard to say that. And that Eagles offense is a mess. It's dysfunctional. It's a mess. 7 times Jalen Hurts went under center. All 7 times they ran the football. You just can't do that against any NFL team, let alone one with a guy like Robert Saleh calling the shots. So yeah, kudos to them. And I thought the offense kind of did what they did. I thought that just kind of looked like who the 49ers are. They're capable of playing well every single week and beating anybody that's in front of them. That offense can score points against anyone, right? Even the Seahawks. I know they only scored 3 10 days ago. They're certainly capable of scoring more if McDonald's not in his bag and the Seahawks aren't on their game on Saturday. But I think it had more to do with the Eagles than it did the 49ers. We did get a question in the comments about weather Saturday. That's why I wanted to put this up.
Okay, there we go. Thank you,
As
Dan.
good as you can ask for in the middle of January in Seattle, 3-mile-an-hour winds, high of 53, sunny all day, no precipitation at all.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. I'll take that in Pacific Northwest every time. You get like one of those at some 30 every 30 days sometimes. Well, Bryce, is it a preschool offense Hurts is running out there?
Oh, absolutely. It's to me, it's even more of a preschool offense than we asked Russell to run in 2012. Like, it's like, whatever you do, don't do anything that's going to challenge you kind of a situation. Like, once teams figured out how to take away Barkley and the run game, and then it was okay. Like, the way I look at the 49ers offense, Brandon, is it's like run, throw up the 50 ball. Hopefully AJ or Devontae Smith's down there and one of them can come down with it. Like, Hurts can win you a Super Bowl if you have everything go right. Everything. And I mean, defense, all those things have to line up perfectly. It's got to be like this well-timed clock for it to work out. There's the slightest kink in there. Hurts isn't the guy that can win you a Super Bowl. Like, I've never been a big Hurts fan. I remember when the rumors were that we were going to trade for him, and I went, he has limitations. Like, he is a guy that relies on athleticism to extend plays to an extent, and then takes his deep shots when teams come up to try and take away the run ability. If you put him in a drop back situation consistently, you're not going to see success with it. And again, I think it speaks to the lack of development of quarterbacks in high school and college. Physically, they're developed. Mentally, they are so far behind where they were 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I feel as well the same thing with this, and it's just interesting. They still went and got that Super Bowl within that. There's some things, I think, lesson-wise learned in this. The variety of things we'll pick over into the offseason, I'm sure, in regards to some of this, but interesting to get your perspective on this, guys. Mike McDonald has had himself a lot of luck here. I want to touch on you guys here in a second. I want to not get too far behind on donos, but I want to touch here in a moment on some of why he's had success and your guys' level of confidence in his success against this Niner team versus what we've seen a little bit with, of course, McVay on the other side of it. Feed Me, thank you for the $5 donation. And guys, feel free to just respond to this. You guys see out on this. Whoever's got a thought or process. You guys got a little line going through your head, making your brain bigger. So you guys might want to jump on this. Kevin Dotson posted a video of him getting injured, pointing out D Hall doing him dirty. That's so bullcrap, man. Now fans are calling him a dirty player.
What I loved about Dotson's video is he said, first of all, there was a lot of contradictions in a very, very short soundbite. First of all, he said, if I knew he had stepped on me intentionally, I would have stood up. Well, then how hurt were you? Right. And then he said, I'm past it. But then he said, like 2 seconds later, he said, I'll wait until I'm up in Seattle to deal with him or whatever. Well, then you're not past it, are you? Dotson. Look, this is manufactured hate. I think anybody in their right mind watching the video could see that Hall didn't know where he was. And as soon as you can recognize body language, right? We've been watching human beings hang out on this earth for, anywhere from 30 something to 60 years on this planet. And the second he's kind of turning as he steps over him, and then the second he realizes he's on his foot, it's like he tries to jump off, but you could see him lift his body weight up, not to stomp on it, but he's trying to avoid it. It's ridiculous. Whatever you have to do to get motivated to play a game, I guess. But Derek Hall is the least dirty player. And all you have to ever do is spend 2 minutes talking to him to find out what kind of person he is and know that.
Yeah.
Mookie, Bryce, either you guys.
Go ahead.
No, you guys go ahead.
Go ahead, Mookie.
Yeah, so I don't think there was any malice in the stomp. And it wasn't even a stomp. He just stepped on him. And I can see it as, while not intentional, the NFL might have viewed it as reckless enough to warrant a one-game suspension. But nevertheless, like, the only time Derek Hall's really had a real beef with somebody was Jaron Reed last year. If anybody remembers that Bills game, Hall commits a genuinely really bad roughing the passer penalty on Josh Allen. I think that would have been a third down stop as well for Seattle right before the game just got away from the Seahawks. And then Reed and Hall were going at it on the sidelines. But, like, that's it. That's football. Guys are going to get heated at each other. We just don't see it on camera all the time. It's not kumbaya 100% of the way, even for teams that are good. But otherwise, like, Dotson, I got to worry about Chicago because I might be in the minority thinking the Bears actually have a real shot to win that game.
We got a Rams fan in the comments saying he thought it looked incidental. So there you go.
I've watched it a bunch of times. I don't see it. Bryce, are you seeing the dirtiness there?
I don't see it. It's players get tangled up. Hall gets shoved in a direction over Dotson if you watch it from the beginning to the end of the play. And he kind of gets in this weird spot of trying to get out of a situation to prevent himself from getting injured. How many times have we seen a guy on defense stand there, get a shove, and the guy's laying on the ground and he blows out his ACL because he rolls out of him and no one turns around and starts balking at an O lineman for doing anything. He was just finishing the play. Well, in this case, Hall's just trying to get out of the situation he's in, prevent himself from getting injured, and Dotson as well, and he incidentally steps on a guy. It happens. But to go out and be how Dotson's being about it, he's trying to find an edge for himself to get up for a game he may not even play in next week because the Rams may not be there.
He might be with Fred Warner. Yeah, I don't get it. See, I think he forgets too. Some of those big guys sometimes forget, like, you're 315 pounds, you're 6'4". You're taking up a lot of this field. It's like trying to avoid stepping on the blob down there. It's just like everywhere. And the guy, like you said, the guy's getting pushed. But yeah, it's whatever you need, I guess, to get up.
I do like being in their head as they prepare to play another team. I do like that.
I do as well. Yeah, they're complaining about us and not less time they're spending on Chicago. That's a good thing. So you keep thinking about next week. Keep looking ahead, Dotson. That'll work well for you. T-Mac, thank you for the $2 donation. Says, go Hawks. Hopefully you can close these whiners out. Man, it would be satisfying, wouldn't it, boys, to go and get this win with the pathway we have at this point, as it would look presumptively. We don't know next week, but man, storybook thing that I've referenced many times over, it just has become even more so, that hasn't it, in the last 5 weeks of the season with how this has all gone.
Yeah, as important as it was to beat the Rams in week 16 and to beat the Niners in week 18, it definitely feels like to get to where, for validation from the outside, within us, within the team, the organization, anyone who watches football, to do it again, especially if you do it twice over the next 2 weeks, as someone so aptly put it a couple of days ago, it's like they have to win the NFC West twice to get to the Super Bowl. That would feel next level and next step and just add a legitimacy to it that I think we would all enjoy.
It really would. It'd make it that much more epic, wouldn't it? What do you think, Bryce?
It really would. And this is where I feel like this is the opportunity for Seattle to kind of rise from the ashes of where we had been for a little bit. I'm not saying we were obviously completely gone, but we weren't the team we wanted to be. We kept preaching for years. We wanted to get a defense back. We wanted to be physical. Well, we finally have those things. Now it's that opportunity we have in front of us, whether it's 49ers and then Rams or however it is, to eliminate one of the teams that has, for the last few years, constantly just bullied us around. It's going to be pretty vindicating if we can take this and win this game and do it in a convincing fashion, not like oh, we squeaked by an injury-riddled 49ers team. Like, if we actually go out there and handle the business and take care of it.
Mookie, let's press this forward on this discussion point. The Seattle Seahawks take down the Niners in grand order this week. They take down the Rams next week. They go into the Super Bowl and they win the Super Bowl on top of it. Dark side defense. Does this season eclipse 13 from a historical standpoint?
Oh, yes. Wouldn't even think twice about it, because there's a sentimental value of it that this is the 50th season in franchise history. And let's face it, from the first season up until 2002, there's about as minimal playoff success and playoff appearances as you could possibly get. Like none with Patera, a few with Knox, and they peaked in terms of playoff success with Knox in his first year coaching. And then nothing in the 90s. You go 20-something years between playoff wins. And then we have the best years of Holmgren, the little lull with the 1 year with Mora. Pete gives us a great time. But nobody expected, I don't think, the Seahawks to be this good. And the metrics bear out that they are an elite team. And if they prove it, and if they can correct some things that have been a problem this season that they've been able to win with anyway, I think that they would go down as not only the best Seahawks team in franchise history, maybe the best Seattle sports team, and maybe at least on the men's side, because I don't want to dive deep into WNBA history, knowing that the Storm have been absolutely phenomenal. But certainly of the big leagues, so NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, NFL, the Seahawks would be the best team that Seattle sports has ever had, I think, of the 2025 team, if they win it all.
I'd be reckoning a guess. I'd agree with you. And, Mookie, what's your beef? What's your beef, man? What's your problem with Arthur Smith? Huh?
I think this is because I said on Twitter, because Arizona is apparently interviewing Arthur Smith for head coach. And I said, oh, great. That means Trey McBride is going to be benched for Jonnu Smith instead. Or he's going to lose snaps to Jonnu Smith. I think Arthur Smith.
It's Tip Ryman, Mookie. Tip
Exactly.
Ryman.
That's right.
I think Arthur Smith runs a painful-looking offense, and it has buried itself out across two teams already in Atlanta and Pittsburgh. And let me not get too high.
Ryan Tannehill look good.
Yeah,
I know. I'm over here going, man. He's not been given a quarterback though, Mookie. What about the fact the man can't get a quarterback for his life?
Arthur Smith was supposedly a legit candidate for the Seahawks in the offensive coordinator role when they hired Grubb.
Yeah, he was reportedly the guy McDonald wanted, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Well, I don't think he's getting the job in AZ. So part of us having this discussion here, Mookie, is not just about him as a head coach. It's about, hey, this may be your guy number one to replace Clint.
To be fair, he might get that job because, first of all, they're interviewing everybody. Second of all, it looks like from their list and from what we know about the organization, the coaching staff, everything else, the number one quality they're looking for in a new coach is someone that will take the job. Arthur Smith might be that guy.
Oh, man.
We got you cleaning the sewers down the bottom of the ocean and our underwater. You will take the job.
Yes, they're consisting of one question. They're like, we just have one question for you. Thank you for taking the time.
Hey, it might be the case. You might not be wrong.
We offer you the job, will you take it?
By the way, since some people in the comments are taking umbrage saying, yeah, the 2013 Seahawks team is still better. Okay, I could make an argument that the 2013 Seahawks team might be better. They certainly had a better quarterback because 2013 Russ is still very, very good. Better running game. But the defense, I think, has now become closer than people are willing to admit because of the run defense and because of how much better this defensive line is than the 2013 one was. I mean, the 2013 Seahawks had some ugly run defense performances, like the Tampa Bay game and the Rams game and a couple others. Go ahead, Bryce.
So, well, just to add to your point on this, Mookie, I would say the conversation about the defense is much closer because I think this defense is deeper than 2013.
You know who agrees with you?
Who?
Paul Moyer, who I had on my show yesterday, said this team's deeper, defense is deeper. Said the defensive line is better and deeper than that 2013 team. And this is a guy who's been around the organization for 40 years. I think what would make this year remarkable, and I hope they get credit for it if it happens, is, what have we heard from Seahawk detractors over the last 7 or 8 years? You're mid, you're stuck in the world, the worst place to be in the NFL, right? 2013 happened as a result of tearing it down and building it back up again and taking advantage of all the things that the league puts in place to allow teams to do that, drafting higher, having more cap space because you don't have any stars to pay, right? To go back to be where they were and then have a lull and have your defensive scheme, have the league pass you by, have to fire your coach, have to trade your franchise quarterback, only have one losing season and then just barely at 7-9 through that whole time and then be back here again. We just don't see that happen very often in the league. They keep telling us it's the hardest thing to do. Well, they're doing it. So now let's give them credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree with all you guys on this. I think it would be better. Your special teams is better. Your collection of running between Charbonnet and Walker gives you more productivity than the 1-2 punch at running back that you had with Marshawn and number 2 behind him. Russell pushes the numbers up with his rushing, but then Russell also has way less passing yards than what Sam put up this year in addition to that. So it is one to me where it's a lot closer, and I think our defense is right in alignment with the other defense.
Here's one thing I will add to this, though, just before we go. I would say the 2013 receiving core is better than ours this year.
Oh, easily, because Tate alone I would take Tate over everybody not named JSN on the current Seahawks roster. But I would also add with the 2013 Seahawks, like they were 21-0 down at home against what was then a 0-8 or 0-7 Tampa Bay team. They had to rally from 20-3 down to beat the Houston Texans in overtime. If anybody remembers Houston, they started the year 2-0 and lost out. Went 2-14. I think that got Gary Kubiak fired. They had to go life and death with one of Jeff Fisher's many 7-9 Rams teams. Like they had a tougher time than the people may have remembered with some really poor teams. Whereas this year's Seahawks team, has there really been one game where they have struggled, had to scrape past a clearly awful team? No. So like maybe the first Arizona game, but like Arizona was not.
Colts game, I would put in that category.
Yeah.
With Rivers playing. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Colts were at least respectable even the last few weeks of the season. They were not the team that they were the first half of the season. So like they're just smashing teams that are vastly inferior, which I'd say the 2013 team didn't do a great job of. But you know, both teams are going to be legendary if the 2025 team also wins the Super Bowl. They'll have their own stories as to how awesome they are.
That is a really cool point. And I think it points out a difference between that team and this team is, you know, we saw every year there were always a couple of clunkers under Pete Carroll, games where they just couldn't get out of their way or the plan just seemed poor and there were no halftime adjustments. I'll never forget the Colt McCoy Giants game at home that they had to win that year. And it was just one of the ugliest things we've ever seen. We've had a couple of games start out that way. Tennessee kind of looked that way early. Carolina kind of looked that way early, right? But then it's like, and Pittsburgh looked that way early. And then they find, you know, once they find their footing, then they can put their foot on your throat and kind of put you away. And that's a quality that 2013 offense didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
It's very true. Dan, to the point on this with Arthur Smith, you know, look, Mike McDaniel, I think would probably be all of us collectively if we had to pick, we got our pick of anybody who was out there and you could just grab, and you know, he's not going to, let's say he's off the table because he's going to be a hot commodity. And you can wink at Arthur if he doesn't get the head coaching job. Like, just wait us out. If Kubiak is going to go, is this who? Well, let me not lead you like a defendant in the courtroom here. Who is the coordinator at this point? As you've had 2 weeks to think of this, that you would want to bring in here if you had your ideal. That's not McDaniel.
And I wouldn't count McDaniel out. There's a report today that even though he's getting head coaching interviews and OC interviews, he may prefer to go to a place that's set up to win now rather than, and then pick and choose his next coaching job rather than take a head coaching job just to take one. And so he could end up being a really strong candidate here should Kubiak leave. Here's how I would answer that is, and I hope this is the way it goes down, because there's a lot of smoke around Atlanta. Right? There's a lot of people that will tell you that he might not be the plan A there. Kevin Stefanski might be. Jordan Schultz reported that yesterday, but he's the fallback. He's the plan B. To which I also would say, you know, and then I watched his 3-minute podium session today because that's about as long as they all last because nobody wants to ask.
He's waxing poetic, but
and it's just and it's like it reminded me again. I'm like, that guy's not winning a second interview. He's just
ask Michael McDonald about that.
He's just not
McDonald
right.
About that.
My next favorite guy would be, and the point I was trying to get to and taking way too long, I apologize, is
You're good.
if let's say he is the guy in Atlanta, Stefanski turns him down, goes to Miami, whatever. then Kubiak will know, even though they can't announce it or they can't actually hire him or whatever till after the 26th if the Seahawks keep winning. Then the team will also certainly know, and then, be able to start doing their work. Zach Robinson's the guy, like, ironically enough, if Kubiak goes to Atlanta, he's from the tree. I like the work he did in Atlanta. He had to deal with some quarterback uncertainty, and yet he got a 2,000-yard season, multi-purpose out of Bijan Robinson. He got 700-800 yards. Like, he knows how to manage two backs, right? With Robinson and Algier, he finally unlocked Kyle Pitts, for crying out loud. He got a big year out of Drake London, especially in the red zone, even though he missed 5 games due to injury. He spreads the ball around. There's a lot of balance there. I'm surprised I know he's got a couple OC interviews, but I'm surprised there's not a little bit more buzz. He would be the first place I would turn personally if McDaniel wasn't available and if Kubiak gets the job.
Same question to you, Bryce. Who are you at with right now?
So I do like Zach Robinson. I've done a lot of study into Zach Robinson. I also like Josh McCown from Minnesota. The only thing I see with both of them is that they do well again with this collective staff, and JSN has another good year. We're continuing this cycle of searching for guys. And I kind of want to take a page out of the Kansas City playbook, and what Andy Reid did, which I think was brilliant, is hire a guy that's called plays before, that has some head coaching experience, but maybe isn't ideal to be a head coach anymore, doesn't want that, is good just being a coordinator. And a guy I've done a really extensive deep dive into his history, and that's Mike McCarthy. And he's got ties to John Schneider. They've worked together. John respects him.
Yeah.
And he's led top-level offenses in the NFL and balanced offenses. He's never really had a number one rushing attack. Okay. But he's had balanced offenses that have finished a majority of the time in the top 12 as a overall offense. He's also got the experience play calling. He's done it most of his career back to when he was an offensive coordinator in San Francisco. And he's also got a track record of doing well with quarterbacks. You look what he did with Dak Prescott and developing Aaron Rodgers and, working with an older Brett Favre at a point. Like, he's got a track record of doing it. I feel like if you hire Mike McCarthy, you're probably not looking for an OC until you're maybe ready to hire the next up-and-coming guy because Mike McCarthy decides to retire.
Well, Mookie, since you hate Arthur Smith, who is your guy right now in the moment if there's a replacement needs to be coming in?
I haven't thought about it too deeply, but I think I got to go with Arthur Smith, guy from Pittsburgh. No. So one kind of sort of left field, Mike Kafka probably not going to be staying with the Giants. It looks like Monken is going to go with Harbaugh to New York. Keeping Kafka in that back pocket because Seattle was super interested in him really the last 2 seasons. And I doubt that Kafka is going to be a head coach this year or this upcoming season. I don't know if he necessarily will fit exactly what Mike Macdonald wants to do in terms of philosophy and scheme. But McCarthy, by the way, I think has an interview with the Titans for a head coaching position, but I also would be very surprised if the Titans went that route. I think they'll go for an experienced coach, but I don't know if McCarthy's necessarily that person. With Zach Robinson, that is kind of an interesting situation because their offense really underperformed in terms of points scored, and their third down offense was terrible, but they also ran a distinctly different offense with Cousins after Penix got hurt. So it was funny. Last year, they would not run any play action with Cousins, and it was pretty clear now with hindsight that they were doing that because Cousins couldn't move, just coming off that Achilles injury. Well, with Penix playing, Penix not the most mobile guy in the world, maybe even less so now with another injury, they were going so pistol heavy and not really doing play action a lot. Cousins comes in, and it's like the Minnesota offense all over again. When Cousins was still in Minnesota, where he could do the play action stuff, and they were doing it at a higher clip. And the offense did get a little bit better as the season progressed. So I think if they go in-house, Rick Dennison has called plays. And I'm not saying that he's been a deeply successful offensive coordinator, but he was Gary's coordinator in Houston and in Denver when they won the Super Bowl. The problem there is that if Kubiak goes, I'm almost certain Dennison goes too, because Dennison has gone wherever either Clint or Gary has gone. So that's just one thing that they have to consider. Jake Peetz has not called plays for like a normal game flow thing. I think he's called some plays when he was still at the Rams, right?
No, he called plays in Carolina.
Oh, in Carolina. Okay.
And he was an offensive coordinator at LSU when they had one of the best rushing seasons for themselves down there. So he has called plays. He just hasn't done an extensive amount at the NFL level.
Yeah, so I'm still intrigued by the Pete's possibility. It is going to be very intriguing to see what happens the next couple of weeks, because it's not just like Kubiak going. I know we might touch on this later, but with so many head coach vacancies, also means so many coordinator vacancies in all likelihood. We could see the staff get rated a little bit more than just Kubiak going. And I'm talking on offense and defense.
So I got one thing I want to just. Oh, go ahead.
Hold
Brandon.
on, I didn't get an answer from Mookie. You didn't answer the question though. Mookie. You gave me all the options out there.
Yeah.
Who do you want as the next OC replacement, not named Mike
Daryl
McDaniel?
Bevel. Exactly, he's free too. If I could, I would say McDaniel as an OC.
No,
would work.
I said no McDaniel.
No McDaniel. Darn it. I would try.
Yeah.
I would
Who's
try. And,
you don't get to pick McDaniel. We'd all pick McDaniel. He's off the board. Who's the guy you would want to go with as the next guy there?
I would like to keep Pete's and just promote him to OC. I think that there was probably some consideration about that when Grubb was sucking out loud last year. And maybe this is going to be like his shot. And it would still essentially be within that same tree of sorts. And I don't think that they would have to change a whole lot in terms of how they want to run their offense.
So I've got one thing with the Pete's idea here, and I think I sent it to you guys in our chat. I may not have. What if you did something like this? Because you talked about it, Mookie, that they're going to potentially lose coaches on this staff. And another guy on the staff that has some play calling experience to an extent is Outen. Mm-hmm. What if they did a Daryl Bevel, Tom Cable situation again to keep both of them, where Pete's is in facto named the offensive coordinator, but really focuses more on the passing game, and Outen focuses more on the run game and the run calls, just like they did with that group back in 2012, 2013, where, as we found out, Bevel really called the pass plays and Tom really called the run plays. Do they do that to keep some of these guys in-house if Kubiak does leave? Is that an option?
I've never really thought of it that way, that they could just repeat that. The Bevel Cable dynamic, but I think they're going to try and push hard to keep as many guys on this offensive staff as possible, knowing these distinct possibility that Kubiak could go.
Yeah, I think you're going to try to hold them as much as you can here, but I think it's not going to serve you well to replicate that situation. I mean, that's maybe part of the reason we can pinpoint down why the offense at times could be a little bit out of sorts and struggling to find its footing in those years, even when you could run the ball pretty decently. So I think you're better suited to just you're going to lose guys. This is the part of the process of winning. You're going to have to go find smart young talent. And as long as your process is good in place, the process that brought us Mike McDaniel, the process that brought us Glenn Kubiak, you apply that same model, I think you're going to get a grade A hire in here, no matter what you do. But I don't think we got to bend over backwards and kind of reinvent the wheel in order to keep guys like that.
It doesn't feel like that's a direction McDonald would want to go either. I feel like so. I think they explored that concept last year when they were looking at Hank Fraley and Grant Udinski. There was some thought that maybe Fraley's the run game coordinator, but calls plays and he brings in another guys. I think he wants one dude.
Yeah, who's your go?
Makes sense.
Brandon?
I honestly would come back. I know Mookie doesn't like Arthur Smith, but Arthur Smith, McCarthy, my baseline has been on this is that we're going to have a Super Bowl ready team next year. Putting out somebody that's not called plays or has a history of being successful in calling plays, that can end up being a big problem that you've now allowed to be created that doesn't have to be created. You could take care of that and remove that off the table completely. And say nothing of like, okay, maybe I'm bringing a guy in that's an OC like a McCarthy or an Arthur Smith that doesn't have maybe the ceiling of turning this into a top 5 offense like I might get with an untested guy that's the whiz kid on the rise. But I don't really think we need to look for that. In the same way, we don't need a quarterback to carry us through on this team with the team that we've built. And so I want to go into next year knowing that we have less of the untested, unproven, and more of we're good to go. We're not having to reset things through. It's more of like hit it and go now. And I just don't like that thought process of some of the names that are bandied about being guys that haven't done it before. I think that Smith, you look at the last 3 quarterbacks, he got Tannehill playing really good. And Tannehill was not playing good anywhere else throughout the rest of his career. So before he got there and after he left and after Arthur left, never in the same kind of place that Arthur was able to get. I'm not saying he had him playing like an MVP, but they came in a couple of years ago into our house with him and Arthur as the OC, and that Tannehill was tearing us up. In fact, his receivers dropped a couple of passes, or I think he would add damn near 400 yards passing on us. Now it's Arthur Smith calling the plays on that day. He's a guy that will run the ball. He's got a creative rushing attack that's unique to himself. He's been given craptastic quarterbacks on top of Tannehill. It's gone to what we got: Russell Wilson and Justin Fields last year, and before that, Desmond Ridder.
Yeah.
Desmond Ridder, are you kidding me? Marcus Mariota. Who's making those guys functional? Who's making those guys good?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that he's going to come in, and I think he'd be able to solidly put your feet on the ground. His philosophy marries to how McDonald wants to run offense with the balance of the offensive rushing attack. One thing that gives me so much confidence, guys, in this, not to go on a long tangent, this weekend's wild card matchups, all of the teams that won had 25 more rushing attempts in the game. Every team. And those teams that lost, every team had less than 25 rushing attempts in the game, except for one being Philadelphia. Seattle Seahawks this year, only 2 games they didn't rush for 25 times or more in a game. And one of those times was 24 times. So it's built in. It's part of the establishment we want to run here going into the future. And he would be able to embrace that. Wouldn't be like, well, he's getting past happy today. He'd understand, and I think it just all work contextually really well together. Let's keep it moving here. We got a couple of donos backing up here. Dogzilla asked, do you guys not find Milrose's package impressive?
I haven't seen it. Have you guys?
You're the credentialed media person once upon a time. So
You're the
had
one
that
guy's been in that
access
locker
there.
room. Between all of us, you're the one guy been in there.
Didn't get in the locker room. Nope.
No, like, all right. Yeah,
But
we're just
We can always count on Dogzilla, can't we?
yeah. Package out within another year or two, maybe. We need to give it some more time to
Grow.
grow in.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you, guys. I was looking for something different, man. I was
Hey,
trying.
it's Shane from Down Under.
Shane, thank you for the $3 dono, man. Appreciate you. Says, hey Dan, been busy. Sorry, I haven't been around.
He's been out there playing the guitar, singing for folks,
We'll get it.
and getting
get it, man.
excited
We
about
rocking.
the Seahawks playing in Australia next year.
Let's go. I know I got Megan Mod in my ear about flying out there, so I don't know. I might get talked into it, boys. So we'll see. If we get the game, we'll see if we're going to get the. Yeah, we'll see. Black Thought, Brown Dreams. Thank you for the $2 donation. I love the tweet from 7, not yet SF54 BDE.
I think is that Chena's one to Fred Warner where he said,
Oh, yeah. Brother, the dream ends.
And
Brother,
did you
the
guys-
dream
yeah.
ends.
Did you see the interview with Nwosu today? Like, a lot of people wanted to make a big deal out of that. Like, oh my God, they're shit talking each other, which of course they are, but they're very good friends. They go way back to when they were recruited to USC together and basically made their college choices at the same time and everything else. So that was just 2 dudes giving each other a little crap.
I think Uchenna knew, though, also a little. That's that confidence that's seemingly permeating from this team. I'm feeling, and I could be just in my stuff here. Okay, so I'll admit that, but like, I also think he's kind of been around the block enough to know that kind of tweet and that the way he put that. Yeah, it's a fun. All you said was true, 100%, Dan. Not taking away from that, but just that he's also like. I think this team doesn't want. That's that whole pressure thing coming into this game, and is the pressure on here? Is the pressure on there? I just feel like no, they're walking into it and they're going. We're feeling good about where we're at, and we know we're this good. Like the LOB, when they got to the end of where they were at that season, where that defense just wasn't just that they were great and they're confident, they're cocky. You could really feel they weren't just talking themselves into it like some defenses maybe sometimes were, but they could really truly know we've earned the right to be in this place and in this consideration.
It's a great point. I think it goes back to those 2 signings they made in the offseason. Leonard Williams been a really great steadying force for them. Ernest Jones, even though he's only 25, 26, has been a veteran leader. But DeMarcus Lawrence, Cooper Kupp, like bringing them in to balance out this, 3rd youngest roster in the league. They have a very comfortable, quiet confidence about them. Like they're very confident in what they do. They're not afraid to talk shit, but they don't do it in a cocky way, if that makes sense. Like they're just sure of themselves. And they're not out there trying to talk themselves into it like some of these players we see around the league. Sometimes the smack talk to me kind of comes off as that, as like thinly veiled insecurity, right?
100%. Dotson, for instance. Did I say that? I didn't mean that. So not at all.
Or Lenore anytime he ever opens his mouth.
Yeah, well, there's another great example. That guy's like popping off, and it's like you're not good enough to pop off number one, and then you don't really. Yeah. Then you go out there and you grab onto the receiver the whole game, and then get Niner fans posting videos like you lock somebody up while you're holding on for dear life, rep after rep, and getting bracket help over the top, but I'm not going to go down there, Dan. I'm going to take the high road on this one.
We're not going to talk about how Niner fans love to say that he, didn't allow a single catch when covering JSN, even though he only covered him 3 times. And
3 times.
JSN had 8 catches for 95 yards. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, it's just in the cut-ups they showed the one where he got penalized. They were showing the penalized one where he gets called for the PI that puts the ball in the 1 yard, and they're like locking him up.
Yeah. Hey, he only committed pass interference 1 out of every 3 snaps against JSN. That's 33%. That's not terrible.
It's like baseball. It's a good percentage.
It's 0 passer rating though.
Yeah,
that's right. Love the confidence from the team though. Black Thought. I think this defense is going to be ready for this, and that they know what they put the work in. Just the ownership they took on this offseason for the leaders like Dan just talked about was, to me, second to none. Addis says with $2 donation, the Niners can't wait for Saturday. Go Hawks. Thank you for that, Addis. I know all you guys are getting hyped up. You guys getting that feeling? I am too, where like you get excited every game day and you kind of wake up and you're like, okay, it's game day. I can feel there's a little energy today. There's a little, all right, here we go. But there's also now when you get into playoffs, it's got that little like, kind of like, oh, it's a little like I kind of got to vomit a little bit, but I'm also kind of excited, but I'm also like kind of worried. And then like every little bit of news you're getting, you're feeling yourself getting pulled a little bit. Or is this just me? This might be just me problem.
It's what makes playoff football so great. And it is something I've had to come to grips with this week. Like there have been stressful games the last 6 weeks, but you always knew that, week 16 is a great example. You're down 16 in the second half. There's a moment, I know I felt it. We probably all did. I looked at my lady and I said, I guess it's not going to happen this time. We'll have to wait and hopefully play him again in the playoffs. It's not going to happen. But you knew you had another few games to play. It's the reality of knowing that, like, man, if it's a close grind them out game and you get down to the last couple of minutes and the ball just bounces weird, your season's over. That is a different animal and an intensity that some people that are new to this, some of the younger fans out there might not quite be prepared for.
So what
you feeling
makes
it, Bryce?
the NFL playoffs the best.
You on Mookie? Are you getting it too? No, go for it. I wanted everybody on this one.
Oh, absolutely. Like week 18, the worst case is you go to Carolina, and Carolina evidently could punch above its weight sometimes, but like maybe they're a bad matchup for the Rams, but against Seattle knows what to do. But like if they had lost the Niners game, I'd have gone, all right, that's realistically, if they can get a playoff win, that's cool, but they would have to go on the road 5 straight weeks probably. But they were in the playoffs. In the NFL playoffs, this isn't like baseball or basketball or hockey where, okay, you didn't get him in game 1, just try not to lose game 2. The only time it's really dicey is if you fall down 3-0 in a best-of-7 series. NFL playoffs and now the college football playoffs, it's it. You get one shot. That's all for what is this a season that has the fewest amount of games of the big 4 sports leagues, and then one game decides everything each round. Straight knockout. That's what makes us crazy every single weekend.
Indeed, every game counts, man. Bryce, you also, are you the one calm one of us there? Are you the one in the group that's like, it's just, I trust the team, we're good? Or are you in that same
kind of
bit of nervous?
No, I'm that. For me, like even when I played and we had playoff games and stuff, like I never was one of those people that got really amped up or really like psyched in. It was just like, yeah, it's another game. Go out and do your thing. Like for me, I look at it and I go like, it's exciting to be back in this situation where this house, like Lumen's going to be rocking. Hopefully they can make it like it used to be at CenturyLink when it was the loudest stadium in the NFL, and they can get and break that decimal meter, which I think they will. But I'm just the one of like, wake up, it's game day. Okay, let's go handle business. Go take care of your job. And it's something that I work with my quarterbacks on themselves is you have to find a way to be even keel. Good, bad, don't ride the emotional roller coaster, which is really hard for fans, and I totally get it. But for me on a game day, I'm pretty much even keel.
I wish I could be. It's going to get even worse when we get Saturday. Almost Saturday, I'm going to be a mess. Absolute basket case the whole day.
That's why you have us, Brandon. We're your support system.
Try being on the East Coast.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gas got it worse.
8 freaking o'clock for kickoff.
Yeah, keep your
Dan,
mind busy.
I got you, Dan. Dan, I got you. We're good.
Who do you guys got raising the flag this Saturday if you had your druthers?
Oh. To me, the obvious one, but it's also complicated, would be Sherman.
Okay.
Right? Like, the NFC Championship game in 2012. Well, I guess it was 2013. It was in January by then, right? And the tip and the play and the sorry receiver and Crabtree and all of that. But he played for the 49ers. I don't know. Now, I think I mentioned on this show last week how fun it would be if Pete did it, which we all, I think, kind of agreed it's too soon and maybe something next year.
I'm switching on this, though. I got it, guys.
Let
me do it
on Twitter from a guy with a lot of followers who's reported on the sport, who says he's hearing that it might happen.
Let me set the stage. All the LOB guys are going to be there. There's going to be a collection of LOB guys, though. Okay, picture this. Okay, stay with me. Let me walk with me for a second.
All right, here we go.
The LOB stacked up in a line, up in front of the flag. They walk forward. They part. It's Coach Carroll. People see Carroll as they part with the Legion of Boom, looking back at their former coach as he begins to raise the 12th flag. You tell me there is an electricity, and then he comes off the flag and he points down to Mike. And you tell me that building isn't just, freaking electrified.
It feels like it would be the passing of the baton that didn't really happen when the change was made, right? Because Pete still wanted to coach, and
that's what make it more powerful, is that this moment happens in front of everybody in this stadium, the grandest of stage. And I think it'd be cool. What about that Mookie? Am I over the top? Am I just getting too cinematic with this?
That'd be real WWE style kind of.
Yeah.
You got the four. You got the four. Well, I guess three, because it's not like Brown. I can safely say Brandon Browner won't be part of their raising the 12 flag. So it'll be Cam, Sherm, and Earl Thomas all there.
They all walk up like
Byron
this,
Maxwell.
like they're like
you might have Byron Maxwell there. But if I don't think it'll be Pete either. Maybe that's something for further down the line. Has Pete even said anything since he got canned?
Mm-mm.
It's probably a lot for him to still process, like how badly that season went. But I know
he'll show up on Get Got here in a few weeks, I'm sure.
Yes, probably. I thought about Malcolm Smith because he also played for the 49ers, and he is a Super Bowl MVP, and he's the one who actually made the interception. But I got to stay with that game. Go with the person behind me. Jermaine, you see here, that's Jermaine Kearse. And the Seahawks do not win that game if Jermaine Kearse doesn't make a catch on 4th down. And what was it, 6? It was a free play, yes, but the fact that Russell actually got a guy to jump offside on his hard count was already a win in itself. But Kearse has made so many clutch catches for the Seahawks throughout his postseason career. And he's a local guy. Seattle, he goes to school at UW. He plays for the Seahawks for much of his career. I'm sure he's still in the Seattle area since retiring. So like Jermaine Kearse might not have been the superstar receiver, but maybe he can be kind of the foreshadowing effect that a role player, maybe even a role player at receiver, will make a big impact on Saturday night and help knock the Niners out.
I got one.
I like it.
Can I get mine first?
Okay,
go ahead.
Maybe you'll steal it from me.
Hopefully not. Okay, so you guys remember 2019. We lose all of our running backs against Arizona. Procise goes down, Carson goes down, and we're going, holy crap. Or no, 2017. Was it 2019? 2017?
Was it 2019 that they lost to the Niners? Beast Mode came
You
back.
say DeJuan Harris.
Yes.
You say DeJuan Harris, I swear.
No, I'm not going to say don't worry. No. But you get the situation where Beast Mode has to come out of retirement with Turbin. And they bring back the 2013 running back room essentially with Travis Homer. And we're like, okay, guys, we can do this. And they come out of that tunnel. And that stadium felt like 2013 again. It was rocking because Beast Mode came out. I think what you do is you kind of have some of those 2013 members there. To your point, Brandon, I would have Golden Tate. I would have Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse. And then I would have Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill and some of those. Like, I'd have a collection of them all kind of standing at the top. And then I'd have Beast Mode because he was kind of that heartbeat that you listen to them all talk about it. It was Beast Mode. You have him, that parting effect with all those guys, and Beast Mode lifting the flag, kind of passing this torch to this team being like, hey, we went when we were the youngest team and no one counted us and we all had chips on our shoulders. Now it's your guys' turn. This is your era to now, like, kind of letting that LOB era go. Now it's your guys' turn to go and do it.
I like it. Dan, did you have one more?
Yeah. Someone who's never, ever raised it before just double checked that online. I think I'm correct. Who deserves to raise the 12th flag more than anybody this year? And maybe next week could be the better time to do it if they win Saturday. But who would deserve to raise it the most?
John Schneider.
Yes. This is John Schneider's year. He's never raised the
totally with that. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great suggestion. I mean, he's going to win Executive of the Year. I can't imagine how he doesn't this year. And this would be the perfect time to do that. And maybe next week's, maybe it's Jody next week for all, if we're kind of in that same vein.
Maybe. I mean, Paul raised it a couple times in playoff games, right? Big games. And yeah.
Yep.
He did. And well, technically too, I think he raised on the Niner Conference Championship one, I think, is the one that he did last on. Boklo, thank you for the $10 donation, Boklo. And he says, did y'all notice Jennings' jacket had Niner colors on the outside and Hawk colors inside when he said he was so excited to play us in his post-game press conference last week? You think he's auditioning?
Didn't notice that.
I did feel a little bit of the energy for me was kind of like, you're trying to, you're going to have to go do this thing. Yeah. Good. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It was a little bit like that. Did you guys hear that same kind of vibe? That he's kind of talking himself into it just a bit?
Maybe. Yeah. He's definitely auditioning for free agency. So, he's got to try and walk that line.
Yeah. Maybe future Hawk. Future Hawk next year.
I don't know if there's
I don't think so. I don't think so. He's trying though. He wants to be a part of championships, not Super Bowl opportunities.
Every year there's, I don't know, a couple dozen players that just like are really, really good players, perform wherever they go, but just can't find a long-term home. There's a bunch of guys like that make good livings in the league bouncing around. I don't know what it is, but every time, man, he performs, and yet it even seems like a lot of 49er fans are hesitant to embrace him.
100%. There was not a uniformity on whether to pay him or not when he was threatening to hold out at the start of this offseason. So he'll probably get a little money somewhere, but he's not going to get a big contract. He's a possession guy that is fine. He doesn't create a lot of separation. He's more of a kind of contested catch guy.
Hey, I think I see the best 12th flag suggestion.
You saw it too, Dan.
In the comments.
Yeah.
What's that?
From Seahawks.
We got?
Can you get to that one? You see that?
Which one? What's the name?
PM Seahawk
Daddy.
Well, I guess to you it would show up as 9:31 or 7:31 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seahawk Daddy. Okay. There. He's about 5th or 6th. Scroll all the way to the bottom.
Yep, I see it. He's got a little color wheel or it looks like
a smiley face sun thing.
Oh, here we go. There we go.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, that'd be cool. I wouldn't say no to that.
Paid for when you raise the flag, right? Maybe put us up in a room. Might not be a watch party after all, Bryce.
We'll definitely come out in the Syndicate suits on that at that point, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Syndicate Leatherman jackets. There we go.
There we go. We'd have to. Great suggestion. I think he's got it. He's got the best suggestion of any of these. Feed Me, thank you for the $2 dono. Says, fun question. How many false starts this game?
By San Francisco, I assume. I'd rather not guess the number of false starts by Seattle. They've been pretty good with that this year. So I'll go with 3. It might not even be all linemen. It could be like Malik Turner being on the Niners threw me for a loop last week. So if he wants to help the Seahawks after hurting them a few years back with that drop, get a false start while lined up.
Like it was 20 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, boy, does it ever. I was going to go 3 as well.
Yeah, I'm right in that range too, because as soon as, I was tempted to say 5 or 6 because I do think that atmosphere is going to be insane. I've been saying all week, I think it's going to be unlike a lot of younger fans have never experienced before. It's going to be like 13, 14, 15. But San Francisco's so well coached and experienced on offense, and they have that operation down pat. It's not going to get out of hand. So I'll go 3.5 is my over under.
So I'm going to do something. I'm going to challenge anybody that's in the chat or watching this that is going to the game. I expect you guys to get 5. I want 5 false starts. I want this place to be rocking like it used to rock.
Gamut's dropped.
Everyone wants to talk about how this is going to be this great atmosphere. Prove it. I've had Niner fans in my chat saying, oh, there's going to be so many Niner fans there. And there will be Niner fans. Drown them out. Do what 12s are supposed to do and be the X factor in the game.
And then maybe next week would be the best time to do this if we end up playing the Rams. It'd be the ultimate troll job. Because there are a lot of younger people in the stands. There are a lot of younger Seahawks fans that came on board 10 years ago, and they haven't been to a game like this. Remember the video the Rams made when they were still in St. Louis?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
They showed on the big screen to teach their crowd how to cheer for the team. It was
100%.
you would have to find it on YouTube again or something. It was one of the
cringy as they get.
It was the word. It was one of those things that you look at and you go, how many people had to approve that? Like that had to get through multiple levels, I'm sure, of approval to get on that screen. It was just the dumbest thing ever. I think they only ran it for one game and then they burned it for all of eternity.
Well,
If
not
you
to
don't
belabor
get
your
false
guys'
starts.
points. Go ahead, Moogie.
I was going to say, if you don't get all the false starts, next best thing, force a delay a game or force them to blow a timeout. Because Shanahan and McVay are two remarkable coaches, but those two and a lot of their disciples have a complete hang-up when it comes to clock management. And there is nothing I love for more than for the 49ers to be trailing in the second half and they're down to one timeout because they're struggling to get the playoff in time with like 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think these guys are, hopefully you guys are putting this to your audience as well. And Mookie with the field goals on this is just a reminder to everybody on this, not that we have to remind them what to do in the stadium, but that you're in that stadium, you're in there to clock in as much as anything else. Yeah, you're there to enjoy the playoff game, but you can sit on your couch and enjoy it in silence if that's what you want to do. And all of us have been in that stadium in recent years and seen the people in there that are quiet, sitting on their hands, stuffing their face full of food, can't be bothered to be bothered. And this is I have a hard enough time with the regular season on their phone. I have a hard enough time with the regular season myself, but this cannot happen in the playoffs. Regardless of whatever the Niners do to take over the stadium in partiality, which it will be reduced from even what it was in week one with some of the steps that have been taken. If this is up to the full-throated bottom volume of what the stadium can provide, regardless of those fans, it won't matter. But it does take everybody in tow. And when you're one of those people or you're one of those collections of people going, it'll still be done without me here, go home. Give your ticket to somebody who's going to put that out there because this is the week the team needs them at the back because 4 false starts, 5 false starts, a couple extra false starts, a couple timeouts caused can be the difference sometimes in these kind of games when it comes down to the wire, as so many playoff games do.
Well, and the flip side of that too is, we've talked about quite a bit over the last couple of weeks, like the 49ers have no pass rush, only 20 sacks this year. I think going into week 18, I had figured out that only 12 and a half of those came from players who were actually active and on the roster today. And so they're going to be trying to get an edge, and with the crowd going crazy and everything, even though they're quieter on offense, there might be some offsides. Sam might get a couple free balls, right? But you reminded me of something, Brandon, and I think it's a really important point. I'm going to tell a quick little story, and it also gives me a chance to also clarify that, like, I'm not saying that all younger Seahawk fans need to be educated on how to handle these games because they haven't done it before. Some of the worst offenders in that stadium at making noise when it's needed most, and some of the biggest reasons that home field advantage kind of tapered off during the 10s is what you pointed to. It's the older fans, the ones that have been grandfathered in, the ones that have charter seats and that have had their season tickets ever since 1976. There was a year, I want to say it was 15. We were playing the Saints in the first round of the playoffs, and it was the year that Jimmy Graham got into it with Bruce Irvin in pregame.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? It was Jimmy who?
Oh, yeah.
2013 Super Bowl run.
Was that 2013? Jimmy who?
It was divisional round.
That particular year, my ex-wife and I, we went through the ticket relocation thing, and we're like, hey, this looks cool. We moved over to the 50-yard line, 300 level, halfway up, 50-yard line. Incredible seats. It was like watching the game on TV, but live. But because it was 50-yard line, I'd never, ever taken this into account. You had people that had been in those seats for 40 years because they're the most desirable. They were the most complacent, flaccid fans ever. If I stood up to cheer during a game in a key moment, they would yell for me to sit down. So we show up to the playoff game, just like you were describing, Brandon, and I announced my presence. My ex-wife, it's probably one of the reasons we're exes now. She got really pissed at this, but we get to our seats and I turn around, I did a 180 and I just I'm addressing the section. I said, this is a playoff game. I'm standing and I'm cheering, deal with it. It's some of the older fans that just don't, it's physically taxing, right? It's hard to talk afterwards. It's hard to go to work. It's a long day. I get all that, but that's why you're there. It's why you're there. If you're not going to participate, then watch the game on your 90-inch 4K TV and where you can be as quiet as you want to.
I want to piggyback off what Dan's saying there. One thing I think that we sometimes forget, not us, but people that go there, you literally have a jersey number retired because of you. No other franchise has that. The name the 12s, you have a jersey number. No Seahawk player outside of the one that did get to wear it early on has worn 12 since they retired it. It's done. It's over with. 12 is not a number you can ever get as a Seahawk player. Cherish that, but also remember why you have that is because you are a factor, because you are a heartbeat of this team, the city, the organization. So like Dan said, if you're going to the game, and like you said, Brandon, you better make sure your presence is felt just as much as the guys that are playing the game on there because they're relying on you. Stop wasting the fact that we have a jersey number retired because of us.
Well said, boys. And just also last point on this, if you're not going, but you know someone going to the game, get this message across to them if you can. It's the communal duty today, the communal duty of next. You have to do a lot of things in this community. Everyone gets to kind of be for themselves in a lot of ways. This is the one time where this is where you need to lock in. Everybody does a variety of different ways. So remind whoever's going to that stadium these messages. This is multi-generational thing. We had a penalty. We forced the NFL to create a penalty for a good time before they realized how ridiculous it was. But that's how level of volume you created in the kingdom at that time, where they said, we got to create a penalty for these Seahawks fans because they're just too damn loud. Don't forget that lineage. Don't forget that history. Bring it into full force. And you might just see yourself forcing that win to happen on that field. Don't be surprised. We've seen it time and time before here in these neck of woods. Let's do a little quick time. Thank you for reminder, Mookie, on this as far as our sponsor goes. And this is going to be a sponsor of both me and my guy Dan here as far as Sleeper. Sleeper's the #1 app running. Dan, what do you think about the Sleeper app?
I absolutely love it. It's the best sports app out there. I'm not just saying that because they are a sponsor.
No, he is not. They get you more picks, more options than you get some of these other apps out there. And both me and Dan have been kind enough to have been sponsored by them this year. You can use my code NEST or Dan's code
Forever.
The word and they will match up to
number
forever. The number 4 ever. No, that one. You didn't make that complicated at all, Dan.
No, the word.
That was a
FOR. Yeah.
Vien's was right there, man. Vien's was right there. But use either of those two codes and you'll get 100% match up your first deposit up to $100. But wait, there's more. There's a freebie $20, no deposit needed. Just create a login and they'll put $20 into your account. So $120 from me and Dan when you use the code NEST or the number 4 and then ever.
Nope, the word for forever.
Oh, I thought you said 4. My bad. So it's not complicated. See, I'm trying to win this code off already by sabotaging
made it more
Dan.
Complicated by explaining it.
And I want Mookie, Bryce, and Dan's. How you guys like my picks? We got 1.5 field goals for Jason Myers, Kenneth Walker with over 12.5 receiving yards, Charbonnet attacking those A and B gaps of that wide 9 with over 46.5 rushing yards, and then Juwan Jennings with over 41.5 receiving yards.
I'll take it.
I'll take it too. I think Jennings will be affected if Pearsall plays, but other than that, I like all the Hawk picks.
Yeah, Jennings over 41.5 receiving yards is the only one I'm a little bit iffy on because I anticipate how much they'll use McCaffrey, Juszczyk, and Pearsall if he plays. But other than that, the Seahawks picks I think are all just about locks.
Let's just hope that Jennings doesn't get 41.5 or more yards on just one catch. That might be.
No. I don't know if he's not got the speed to do that. I don't think he's got the gear in there to get that done, but please do use that code today. Terms and conditions do apply. Please see the Sleeper site for details. Gentlemen, let's get this started off with Bryce on this one. And I want to get through a couple topics still here, so we'll not go too long on this, but I just want to know general where you guys stand on this one. Has Mike McDonald essentially, not fully maybe, but a lot of different ways solved this Shanahan scheme? Or is it just that he's had a good recent run of success and overall in this, what we can still call sample size of games, 5-6 games over the past 3 years? Bryce, you first.
I think he's solved it. I think he understands the principles enough. And I think a big advantage was getting Kubiak in the building this year to, again, understand it more in depthly of seeing it at practice all the time and how Clint wants to attack teams probably gives them an insight to how Shanahan wants to attack teams and where the weaknesses they find and what are the core principles. I think Mike's figured it out. I think he understands, how to confuse it, what to take away, like what are the priorities of taking certain things away from them that are easy gimmies for them and make them work for everything. And you saw it in week 18, and I know week 18 is a while ago, but they really only had one drive of any sustainable success against this defense. And again, they took it away. And the biggest thing I think he's done to make this, Shanahan team struggle is they rally to the ball. One thing with this offense is they depend on yak yards, and they have not been able to get them. And that's a big, big deal.
Boy, was it ever. That was an impressive game that last week with how fast they were on top of those guys after the catch, especially. It was like Legion of Boom years to my eyes at times. Dan, what do you think about this in this regard of things? Has is Shanahan got something up his sleeve here, or is Mike got him cornered?
Shanahan's as smart as they come. He'll have something, that will surprise McDonald, but I think McDonald's smart enough that he'll adjust to it. I do think they've solved something here. They've cracked the code, and that is being able to be elite at stopping the run without having to stack the box, being able to live in nickel and keep that extra secondary player on the field and be able to you don't have to steal from your coverage in order to put pressure on the quarterback and be able to get that pressure with 4. That's how you slow a team like that down. And I think the difference between the 49ers and Rams, and the reason the Rams have still been able to, we saw it week 16, Stafford throws for over 400 yards, is the way to beat this scheme, the way to beat any scheme is you got to have an elite thrower of the football back there that can drill the ball in the middle of the field into really tight windows. That's kind of the kryptonite for McDonald's scheme, but not everybody can do that. And it's not Brock Purdy's game. It's timing, it's rhythm, right? But McDonald and his defense does such a good job of throwing you off your rhythm and making you have to move, and you can't just sit back in the pocket and time things out. I do think he's figured something out. It doesn't mean that we're going to dominate the 49ers for years now. Shanahan's as smart as they come, like I said, and he's got a lot of talent on that side of the ball, and he's got a quarterback that runs his offense really well. I just think it's going to set up for years of fantastic chess.
Amen. Mookie, you feel the same way on this or different?
I think he's mostly got an idea of how to slow down Shanahan's offense. So if you go back to the Baltimore days, like a lot of that was just getting turnovers off of Purdy in a way that he doesn't normally throw 4 picks in a game. And then Darnold, when he was with San Francisco, threw a 5th just for good measure. But they had trouble stopping McCaffrey in that game. It was just the turnovers flipped that game so fast. Now, just isolating to his time in Seattle, the first game, terrible. But also Murphy didn't play. Jerome Baker and Tyrell Dodson were soon to be off the Seahawks. So once he got his guys in, I'm gonna narrow it down further. With his guys in, we're working on a 3-game sample size. The second game last year, of which they slowed McCaffrey down. In fact, I don't think McCaffrey had to run longer than 10 yards. It was one of his worst rushing games of that season. And without Deebo Samuel, that was a game where McDonald blitzed more than he normally does, and they ran more man coverage, I believe, than they normally do. And Purdy was kind of lost for answers, and they put up just 17 points. And they were able to get a win. This year, I don't think they were great in the first matchup as much as Jake Moody kind of self-destructed and missed two field goals. They were able to get into Seattle territory pretty frequently, but they weren't finishing drives is the big thing. They did finish an important drive that won them the game, but they were on 10 points with a minute and change to go. And they forced a couple of bad Purdy interceptions. And McCaffrey had some effectiveness as a receiver. In fact, I think he was their leading receiver in terms of yards. But as a runner, he might have had a couple of successful runs, but no big back-breaking runs that have been haunting the Seahawks for years. This last game was, I think, the culmination of what McDonald wants to do to the Niners, which is I don't want to blitz as much, but if I can get pressure with 4, if I can contain McCaffrey and not have to go to base defense, then I think everything else will kind of sort itself out. And the fact that they had Kittle as a non-factor in that game too when Kittle has been the bane of Seattle's existence for years, I think was the most telling thing by far. So I believe that, yeah, for the most part, McDonald knows how to solve the Shanahan puzzle, whereas McVay, and maybe this is why McVay's got a Super Bowl and Shanahan doesn't. McVay is still a little bit more of a cat and mouse game, but I think that McDonald, for the most part, knows what to do with Shanahan's offenses and how to limit them. And the tackling, I think, as mentioned earlier, is the biggest thing. The yards after catch were not there this last game, and I don't expect them to be there this game. They're so disciplined in coverage.
I thought it was really fascinating to hear McDonald talk about this yesterday, about how there were some times the 49ers caught them out of position and had a chance for big plays, but and he even inferred that maybe some guys maybe took a wrong angle or weren't where they were supposed to be. But he said, we bailed ourselves out of some bad plays by just everyone flying to the football and making up for it. I thought that was really interesting for him to divulge that. I also liked what he said about not getting to part of his call sheet in week 18. We'll probably never know what that was, but I'm really, really intrigued at what he didn't have to use 2 weeks ago that he might use in 2 nights.
There's one way I think that, Mookie, to your point about Mike kind of limiting or figuring out how to handle Shanahan, I think the Shanahan playbook is less explosive and developed in drop back passing compared to Sean and what with the Rams. And the reason I say that is you look at the numbers Stafford put up on that Thursday night. He was dicing it all over the place. McVay's growth in this, and why I think McVay is the better play caller than Kyle and developer of the playbook, is he's been able to develop the drop back passing game much better than Kyle has in a lot of ways. And you can say Kyle's been limited by his quarterbacks, but Kyle's got a certain type of quarterback he wants. He wanted Brock Purdy, and you look at what's happened with Brock Purdy. He had Jimmy Garoppolo. He's had those guys where I think McVay's pushed the envelope that way, and that's why it's a little bit more challenging dealing with McVay at some points for Mike, is the drop back passing game is more developed in McVay's system than it is in Kyle's. No different than ours. You look at Clint. Clint comes more from Shanahan than he does from McVay at all, and you can see the limitations in our own drop back passing here in Seattle. The other thing that Mike said that was interesting, I don't know if you guys caught this, was the fact that they're a 4-3 team, not a 4-2-5 team, and how they use Eamon Warry basically as a Sam linebacker. And when I had Jason Aponte on today, we were talking about it, and he just said it's a living nightmare to deal with that you can just move in and out of nickel without taking a single guy off the field.
Such a big deal to this defense, and you can see why it's almost as maybe emerging with Hamilton, what he did with the Ravens, as the most important piece on this defense to be able to supply, because it kind of makes the whole rest of the thing go. If you're going to base, you can just live in that nickel side of it. I didn't put this on the notes for you guys on the presumptive points, and I know we're getting deep into the show on this, but there is one spot I want to talk about because I just thought it was such a cool item, and that is the understanding that Mike Holmgren and Mike McDonald have an active relationship, and what this could do to work in the favor in jump starting and helping, as Mike said about Leslie Frazier, for instance, being able to see ahead of corners. And I kind of felt like this is a kind of a low-key big advantage for Mike to be able to have. Not only legendary head coach, not a Hall of Fame coach, but a guy that's actually coached in that stadium, in the playoffs, the extra factors that can be at play. Am I overselling this a little bit, maybe perhaps in Nostalgiaville, or is this got a big of an impact as I think it was?
McDonald is a guy, he graduated from an elite leadership program at Georgia, and he's a guy that he knows what he doesn't know, and he's humble enough to seek it out from really smart people. So that doesn't surprise me at all. And the first thing I thought of, though, because I wasn't aware of that. I wasn't aware of how actively he pursued a relationship at all with Holmgren. I know Mike's in the building a lot. He's around there a lot, still lives in the area or has a house in the area. But the first thing that popped into my head when you said that was, well, that if we end up losing Clint Kubiak, that kind of works even more in Mike McCarthy's favor, right? There's another guy that's going to be in McDonald's ear about what he could do. So it's intriguing.
Mookie, Bryce, you guys got anything to offer on that, or just?
I just think it's interesting now, and this is what I find interesting. How much was Mike Holmgren involved with this team when Pete was around and Pete was going through some of these things? I don't know if it was the same, again, level of involvement from, and this is the one thing that's kind of been cool since John's taken full reins of this as it's his team and his organization now. You're seeing more things like Mike Holmgren. I think even when they hired Mike McDonald, Mike Holmgren said after the first season, yeah, I've been in the building a lot more recently. This is things you want to lean into, or guys that have the experience of this and are done it before you. I think it's a huge advantage for Mike McDonald to have someone like Mike Holmgren, a Super Bowl winning Hall of Fame level head coach that's done it in this, market and knows how important it is to this market.
Wait a minute. Is Mike Holmgren our next offensive coordinator?
Oh boy, here we go.
Robbie, get ready to learn 3rd and 10 fullback draw, pal.
Hey, if you build a hell of a staff, If
you want a guy that's not going to get poached.
Yeah, he ain't going nowhere. I mean, it's kind of low key brilliant. I'm just saying. Couple donations here, and we'll start to kind of round the corner ourselves on this one just a little bit.
This guy's been fun.
Boy, it's been going off, I guess, on the chat. It's Niner week, folks. It gets to get hot and heavy here. Thank you for the $5. Says I'll be rooting a Niner fan that can't spell. I'm kidding. You guys, I'll be rooting for you guys if you beat my Niners because Uncle Sherman's always got Brock Purdy's back. I'm trying not to read that with a I'm going to get myself in trouble. Stay healthy, and you guys can win it all. Well, thank you, man. I do believe we can win it all, and I think that there's a reason Vegas has got us as the betting favorite when they had us with 7.5 wins. I think they're starting to wake up and go, man, this team's lost us a lot of money this year so far already. Let's stop the bleeding, huh?
And I was giving him some crap, but it's always nice to have some opposing fans in here and some differing viewpoints, and we've been ribbing each other a little bit in the chat, so it's good to have him here.
But it's very kind of it. He's dropped a couple donos on my channel last couple weeks, and
it does kind of point out that, I kind of think I'd feel the same way if we don't win on Saturday, because it's sort of like the old joke that what do the Cougars and Huskies have in common? They both hate the Ducks. I think, what do 49er fans and Seahawks fans have in common?
That's why I don't do the much of the band stuff with this stuff, because it's like, this is stuff you're going to get only in this week at this time. Right. So it's like, it's just something you don't have to face all the time. So I go, okay, it's the Niner week. This is what we're going to get. It's kind of standard issue stuff at this point. So I go, all right, just, turnabout fair play, but they take it too on the other side. So, but thank you, Boyd. I appreciate you for that. Addis the Gamer, thank you for the $10 donation. He says, I don't want to assume, but please don't just go to a Seahawks playoff game, which tickets cost at least $500. Get off your phone. Get loud. There's a real advantage there. Please, 12s. You can hear us hearkening forth, folks. You can hear the collective of us harking you forth on this, because we're not doing this just because we like to. It'd be nice if we set a noise record in an earthquake. We don't care about that. It's that in the case of a lot of us, we've seen multiple decades of the stadium at play. And when it's been a little quieter in the late teens, and when it's been louder, and the impact that actually has tangibly on a game, I'm telling you. I mean, one of the first videos I did on my channel was the day that the 12s won the game, 2005, Giants. My dying day, I'll tell you, they won that game. 12 false start penalties in the kicker's head by the end of that game. So don't forget that. Walk in that stadium remembering that. And I've been in that stadium a couple times in recent years, walk around, looking at a lot of people sitting on it, like to Dan's point and what he ran into, sitting on their hands, stuff in their face, can't be bothered to be engaged. You got to be engaged. It's just 2 games. That's all we're asking of you. 2 games of engagement, and we get to the Super Bowl, baby. And we get back to that promised land. So please keep it at the forefront. You can help this team out. Be loud. Feed me. Thank you for the $2 donations. Says Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers. Oh my God. Major League Baseball is such a joke. Yeah, that's Jesus, dude. Like, get the salary cap in.
Someone said it was 4 years, $240 million. Probably 200 million of that is deferred for 100 years. It's stupid. We're not going to have baseball in 2027. There's going to be a lockout.
Well, and the player. I'm going to fault the players on this one, quite frankly, because they're the ones with Bryce getting in the face of the commissioner last year in the dugout or in the locker room when he was trying to tell him, like, this is where this is going. How can you get to be the one sport that doesn't have to adhere to this when all the others do? Why are you separate? Why do you get the with your guaranteed contracts? Get out of here. They're being ridiculous, and it's going to cost the sport some years. So is what it is. That sucks. But Dodgers are just taking full advantage, aren't they?
I mean, they should look at the NFL. The NFL's up, viewership's up 10% this year. Now, Attendance is down slightly, so it could just be a little bit of it. Could just be people not wanting to pay the money to go to games, and everyone, like I said earlier, has an 80-inch 4K flat screen at home now. But viewership is up, sales are up, merchandising is up, everything's up, and they work so hard to put rules in place to promote parity, promote competition, so more markets are involved later in the season with hope. Baseball needs to do that. If you're arguing the other side of it, you can throw out, this anomaly, this example. The Royals won the World Series 6-7 years ago, whatever it was. But it's by and large, it's the big market teams. And they thought they were going to put a cap on salaries. They thought they were going to control things by putting in a luxury tax. When you're dealing with billionaires, they just don't care about it. They just blow through the luxury tax. It sucks.
Especially those billionaires that are super rich. The ones that just have that beyond FU money. Like,
there's
FU money.
Billionaires.
Yeah. It's like, just who cares?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get down to the home stretch of this. And I want to ask this question in a way of let's get a, and before we're going to do a score prediction right now, but then I want to pair this into the Senior Bowl because we got announcements on the Senior Bowl I want to bring up. And then I'm going to show you guys my horizontal board and let you judge me as I show you my horizontal. Looking at this game, we've all unpacked this and we did a whole breakdown in these two games coming forward. I think we'd all be in general agreement that your approach 2 weeks ago is not going to change significantly coming into this game. We're not reinventing the wheel in this especially you bring in some certain things, but what is it that the offense and defense has to do in maybe a particular thing? And then give me your score prediction within that. Like it can be just a key itself as we get through the muddle. We've gone through the details in each of our own individual channels. We've gone through the details 2 weeks ago on this. So let's distill it if we can down to those kind of, it could be, if you want to pick two things on each other or go for freelance this one a little bit. Let's start with Mookie because you're always going to have to start last. Let's start you at the front side of this.
Yeah, for the offensive side of the ball, if they can continue to run the ball, I'm not saying go run for 180 again. It'd be great. But if they continue to have successful running against the 49ers, that eases the pressure off of Sam Darnold. I think it'll continue to basically keep the chains moving so it can sustain drives. Keep running in the run in the red zone and don't do like silliness that can get you sacked. But to me, the offense, it still has me left a little bit wanting just on the way those two 49ers games went. Like they left points on the board in the rematch, but they also kind of left points on the board in the first game with the JSN fumble while they were on their way to the field goal, to at least a field goal. And then, of course, the game-ending fumble by Darnold. But they also decided to kick a field goal in a tie game on 4th and 1 with like a few minutes left when they could have gone for it and maybe tried to go for a touchdown or get a field goal later but take more time off the clock. But still, there have been opportunities that they just haven't paid off. The red zone offense has to be better. And I know they didn't need a red zone touchdown in the last game, but ever since the Rams game, they've been like a bottom 10 offense in red zone efficiency, whereas the first half of the year, they were excellent. So I think Kubiak really has to figure out what's the hang up in the red zone that is making this team way too much like the last few seasons in terms of the red zone and inconsistency. I'm not going to mention the turnovers again on the offensive side of the ball because it's like a tired point. I will say, though, in recent Seahawks playoff games, you want to know how many turnovers they have forced on defense since the 2015 postseason? So like not the Super Bowl season, but like the year after when they lost to Carolina. We're talking like 8-9 playoff games. Guess how many turnovers they forced?
2. Not too many.
Exactly. 2. Adrian Peterson fumble in the Vikings game, the Cam Chancellor forced fumble, and then the KJ Wright interception off of Dak Prescott on the Cowboys loss, in which he committed very obvious pass interference on the way to getting that pick. The defense has not been able to take the ball away. This defense is been taking the ball away pretty consistently. So just winning the turnover battle by getting some turnovers on defense would be great. The running game, like I said, with the offense, I believe it was FTN Fantasy that did an article that the outside zone stuff was killing San Francisco. And the Niners have been very poor at defending that lately. So I think you just keep going with that. On the defensive side of the ball, you continue to shut McCaffrey down as a runner, fine. But I want to keep shutting McCaffrey down as a receiving back because this Niners rushing attack has struggled all season to get McCaffrey going. Him getting this high volume 1,000-yard season, under 4 yards of carry means it's not efficient. But as a receiver, he's still one of the best in the biz. So if they stay disciplined in stopping McCaffrey, stopping those little leak outs to use check that they love to do so much, it kind of forces the passing game to be Brock Purdy completing passes to his wide receivers, and I would take Seattle's secondary over San Francisco's receivers, even if Ricky Pearsall plays. So I'm going 27-17 Seattle. I think that the Niners are not going to be so bad that they'll be held to 3 again. I think they're going to catch the Seahawks on occasion, maybe even take advantage of a short field off of a turnover or off of like a short field because Seattle has to punt from their own end zone. But I think that it's going to be hard for the Niners to consistently move the ball on the Seahawks defense. The Seahawks defense is just that good. They'll be able to pressure Purdy, whether Trent Williams is healthy or not. They'll be able to slow down that rushing attack and maybe put him behind the sticks. They've rallied to the ball so well that I think that the Seahawks defense is going to be able to basically neuter that offense some more, just not to the same extremes as Week 18. For the offense, it's time for Rashid Shaheed to get some big plays. This was his first bye week of the season. He did get to practice a couple of times last week. I want Shaheed to get some big plays. JSN will get his plays, and Darnold, I think, will make enough plays to stem all the narrative stuff off for another week and send Seattle to the NFC Championship game.
Before we get to Dan, do we got some time for some Shaheed porn, guys?
Yeah.
You guys open to it?
What?
Yeah.
You heard me. Shaheed porn. No, not like you're thinking, not like the thing. No, I'm not talking about, don't take it to a weird level, guys. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about I formation. I'm talking about I formation stuff here. And remember last game, how much I formation stuff we ran. And I think about the Niners having to bring a guy up into the box. And I think about that safety coming up and helping out. And that leaves him with a single safety high who's trying to like concentrate in on Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I've been replaying this play over and over again. But look at Shaheed on the bottom of your screen, boys.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at that beautiful, beautiful sight. I think it's coming this week. Bryce, is it coming this week? Tell me it's coming this week. We're gonna get the big. We're gonna get the big hog hunt.
If Sam's oblique,
I think
will
he'll be
allow it.
excited. No,
He can throw that with the oblique. He can throw that route with the oblique, man.
The problem. This type of throw ain't going to be the problem.
Yeah, he got this.
Yeah, this is a staple of that offense. It's the X over.
He's leaving there, Bryce. That ain't even. He's leaving, man. He's leaving
right now. Sam should have actually.
Yes, but Sam's hyper locked in on JSN, as you can see with his head. Yeah. He's locked. And look at the top side safety. This is what got me on this, Bryce. That's why I call it Shaheed, because it's like, dude, this is singled Shaheed on the outside with no safety help over the top.
Yeah,
like
this is where you've got Hash to the sideline.
Hash to, he's got to get all the way. There's no way he's getting there. Even if he wanted to get over there, he can't get over there. So it's such an easier pre-snap look there for.
I did see a coverage breakdown from Wild Card Weekend, and nobody played more cover 0 over the weekend than Robert Saleh's San Francisco defense. There will be
Good point. And he's doing it because he wants to stop Saquon in the running game, which is the same thing. Everything that everybody's telling the Niners this week is stop the run, load up and stop the run. So I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but Mookie had mentioned it, and I just wanted to show that one little, because we played so much I formation, and it gets really simple at this point because you're going to get the 2, safety comes down. It's not going to be exotic fronts at that point. It gets kind of simple for a read for Sam to read, especially if he gets the safety to one hash and he's got Shaheed on the whole other hash to their side, and then press coverage here. Game over. Those should be all just quick indicators. Bryce, you're free to correct me on this, but that's all quick indicators to me that I'm going to the 9 prior to the snap. But I don't have to do a bunch of post-snap reading through to get to that point. At that point, it's there. I saw it on tape. Go take it.
All it is confirmation and cancellation. So you have your play built in. You look at a too high look. They rotate either the field or boundary safety down. And then if you know it's MOFC, so middle of the field closed, you take your shot outside because that's where you want it, especially if he's hard breaking into the middle of the field for your over route in that case, which is X over Z fly. Throw the ball out to your Z and let him go get it.
I'm just saying, it looks to me like pretty clear on that one. Dan, I pivoted away from you on that. Let's get back over to you on the keys here with this, and then as well, way you see the game going, or score from the game, however you want to go with this. Freelance with this, boys. You can go with whichever way you want this one.
First of all, the next time that you promise porn, there better be some music to it.
Put your count down.
Come on, now.
Put your count down.
Better. Here's the key, because I keep thinking about, first of all, I think I trust this defense. I trust Mike McDonald to have a great plan. They're going to slow the 49ers down on Saturday. If the Seahawks lose on Saturday, it's not going to be because the defense didn't give them a chance to win. So they're going to do their thing. The Seahawks, you mentioned it, Brandon, they left points on the field, right? And they turned the ball over twice and almost another time. Here's how you beat the Niners on Saturday night. You run the ball from the 1. First of all, when you get to the 1 and you're gouging them in the running game, you just run it in from the 1. You make field.
Do you know what you do if you're at the 1? Actually, sorry to take your heat on this, but you know what you do?
What I would do.
Barnyard.
You know, you picking up what I'm putting down here, Dan?
Okay. Yeah. Run it twice if you have to. Yeah. Or we talked about this. Put Byron Murphy in at fullback and give it to Robbie Utes. Whatever it takes. You didn't have to do that. You were gouging them in the run game, right? Make field goals. That's the next thing. If Ricky Pearsall gets loose down the sideline on a go route, Rick Woolen, just continue to mirror him. Just stay with him. Don't pull up short. And if you're covering Jake Tonjes in the end zone on a scramble route, just go up and get the ball. Just attack the ball. That's how you beat the 49ers on Saturday in advance to the NFC Championship game.
And what's your score?
24-13.
Oh,
24-13.
Okay.
The Niners will get in the end zone this time. A couple of field goals. But it might seem a little dicey at halftime. It might be 10-7, right? And then we'll take care of business. The crowd will take over.
Bryce, you making a trifecta here?
I am, but the thing for me with this is Seattle has to survive themselves in the first quarter and a half of this game. And what I mean by that is we're dealing with a team that does not have a lot of playoff experience. It's going to be very amped up with the crowd and everything versus a team that is very playoff savvy and experienced in dealing with it. And you look at what the 49ers did versus the Eagles. They came out and they went after them. And it's kind of like that boxing, fight here. Seattle almost has to absorb those. And then when they tire out, go and just beat the absolute living piss out of the Niners. And that's where the second half of this game is, and something we've seen this team do all year, where they had the most second half, 30-plus point second halves in the league. Run the ball. Don't commit dumb penalties or have brain fart moments because you're too amped up and not, like to Dan's point, run with Pearsall. Don't do something that's going to put that in jeopardy. Just make the play that's in front of you. And as Bill Belichick always has infamously said, just do your job. That's all you have to do. If every player on Seattle does their job for the majority of this game, Seattle wins this football game because the Niners are too depleted, in my opinion, to really hang for an entirety of the game. Run the ball. Don't commit turnovers. The one thing I want to see so badly in this is I want to see a remake of Demaryius Thomas running the under route and Cam lighting him up in the Super Bowl. But in this case, can we just have Jawan Jennings coming across and Nick Eamon-Wari just end him? I would pay all the money to see that happen and just watch Jawan Jennings go 5 yards back the other way and Eamon-Wari just do his thing and stand there and just look at him and be like, yeah, next, bring the next contestant along here. This isn't going your way today. On my previous show, I said 31-24 Seattle. I think I'm going to revise that to 31-17 Seattle.
Yeah, I'm in a similar place. I'm 27-13 myself and how I see this going. I think, like you said, Bryce, early first half, it's going to be a little bit of like being careful, feeling each other out. I think there's some intelligence behind, like you said, that you're lamped up. So maybe a little bit of controlling the game plan. I certainly don't want to come out with Sam and having him throw, 9 routes off the first 3 throws. Like, let's get him in rhythm and get everybody kind of a nice little sweat going, and then you just lean on him and close them out like this team. And like you say, they've done throughout the course of this year. So you guys brought up some great points there. I can't add a lot onto it. I thought Joel Klatt brought up a really good point on this about Sam Darnold, and that if Sam Darnold doesn't turn the ball over in this playoffs, the Seattle Seahawks win a Super Bowl. And I think I kind of do agree with them. And it's not that Sam's got to be like, keep the training wheels on him and be protective. It's just that be mindful of that, and that you don't have to, put the cape on. You can go get it done yourself on your own in that way. We got one more donation there, and we got a little bit over today, so we'll probably wrap it up on this note. We'll get to some of the Senior Bowl stuff on the next one, because I know Bryce has got to wrap up here. Taker610, thank you for the $5 donation. Who is this panel's preferred Super Bowl opponent? Ooh, this is a good question. Go for revenge against New England or beat down the Denver Broncos again? Or Buffalo's 5th straight Super Bowl loss.
Didn't even bring up Houston, huh? Okay.
Yeah, Houston's just got no chance.
Yeah, so
They might be the best.
it's not the same against New England because it's not Brady and Belichick. There's May and Vrabel, I don't think are the next Brady and Belichick. May could definitely be a great quarterback yearly, but Denver, just because.
Dan?
Up until yesterday, I thought it was New England, even though it's a different cast of characters because we're going to see, if we make it to the Super Bowl and they do too, we're going to see that play 1,000 times, or they're going to show it 1,000 times. I'm not going to watch it. I still can't, right? But they're going to show it, and it'll kind of exercise that demon. But yeah, after yesterday, the way that Sean Payton treated that reporter yesterday, and that's something that's near and dear to my heart. What an asshole. I always thought he was a little bit unlikable, but absolutely inexcusable. You just shouldn't act that way with what you do and what you get to do for a living and how much money you get doing it. When people are just trying to make their living, also trying to be the best they can at it. Screw you, Sean Payton. I want him.
Here. He's gone overboard in recent years. It reminds me of that quote, you start giving people the money and they just become more of what they already are a little bit. And we always hear this about players, but I guess it works with coaches too.
Does he want people covering the team and asking him questions that don't know football? Is that what he's implying?
And what's out of pocket about what was asked? You know what I mean? The funny part is the Broncos blitz early down with their linebackers. So inherently it's not dumb in that as well, because that's what their whole thing is, that it'll be a run blitz that turns into a true blitz. Right. Mm-hmm. So you're coming downhill as a blitzer. That's the part. It's it's not dumb at all. I don't kind of understand why you would jump down throats. It's completely not just a valid question for how your defense plays football in particular. You're the hypermost blitzing team on early downs in the run game, specifically to take away the run game. It's why you do it.
Yeah. Just answer the question.
Yeah, just answer the question. That would have been great if he said, just answer the question, jackass.
Yeah.
What about you, Bryce? You got who do you prefer here?
Unfortunately, the team I preferred is no longer in the playoffs. I really wanted them to beat Pittsburgh and exercise Super Bowl 40 demons and end Aaron Rodgers' reign, but that someone beat us to it. I'm on the same boat as I want Denver. One, because I don't like Bo Nix because he's an Oregon Duck and I'm a Washington Husky, so I'm good on that front. But I also don't think Sean Payton should be coaching in the NFL, period, after Bountygate. I think he should have been done then. I have gripes because I am a coach, and to literally go out of your to put money on the line to hurt other individuals, that's a problem in character. That's a problem in so many things. And then to this point, how he treated Russ, and we all have our issues with Russ. Don't get me wrong. Russ leaving hurt all of us in a way, but how he treated Russ to then now how he's treated this reporter, Sean Payton is a piece of shit human being who should not have anything to do with the money he gets or being involved in the NFL for that matter. So I would love to see them in the Super Bowl and drop a 50 burger on him this time and just embarrass him again.
And what would make it even just to add fuel to that fire, he also signed off on and approved that horseshit movie with Kevin James about his life. He signed off on that crap. That alone should be reason for him to be banned or at least be beaten down in the Super Bowl by the Seattle Seahawks.
He needs a separate office for his ego in Denver. They gave Russ a whole thing about having separate office. He just needs one just for his ego with Payton.
Yeah. Sean Payton could be the first coach ever to win a Super Bowl with two different teams. It's a shame if somebody were to, get in the way of that.
Right.
That would be a shame. I think you guys talked me into Denver. I was going to come at you guys with the rock of it don't matter who we play, but maybe I'm leaning a little bit more to Denver. And boy, that fan base would be hating us forever. The old AFC West days, the Russell trade, the take him down twice in Super Bowl. They ain't going to never want to see Seattle again on that side of it. Folks, we thank you for watching today. We had over 1,200 people at one point or another collectively in the chat. So a big shout out to all of y'all for watching from wherever you may be watching. And if you're here on my side or your Dan's side or Bryce's side, please do so up to the collective other guys. We got Hawks Eye here with Bryce, Seahawks Forever with Dan. And then we, of course, got Mookie running shop, traditional media-wise over there at the Field Goals, getting it done well over there. Check it on there. They'll always give you the greatest updates over there for what's going on with the team. Great articles where they pop out over there on that side of it as well. Really appreciate getting a chance to do this with you guys once a week here through the playoffs. We'll, of course, be continuing this into next week as well because we're anticipating that there's going to be a win, but it's playoffs anyway. And we got some things to talk about. We are also, just as a programming note, 2 weeks away from me and Dan and Bryce going out to Mobile, Alabama to go and check out the prospects and see what's up and give you guys the inside goods as hopefully we'll be doing it during Super Bowl week. And we get to be, as I've talked about Clint being the belle of the ball as far as head coaching candidates out there, we'd get to be the belle of the ball. Like, oh, you guys are Hawk fans and you're the Super Bowl? Yeah. Are we that? Is that this week? Yeah, that is that this week. Yeah. We could do that whole move where we go back to each other when everybody says it. Do we? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We get it. We're in the Super Bowl. How's your team? Oh, that's good. You looking strong at these guys? I mean, if we need one, we may get one. We're just here kind of, we're window shopping, really. We don't need anything.
When we scheduled that trip, I had no idea the timing of it. I wasn't even thinking about what that turnaround might be like.
We're going to the Super Bowl. You guys might have to check me on the toxicity level.
We're going to be.
Oh boy,
I might be a little out of control amongst the rest of those content creators out there. Like, you just grind it on tape right now, huh? How many? What are you 4.0 in the mock draft, or are you 5.0? You know what 0.0 I am?
John McGrath put in something good in the chat, guys. Go look at Brandon. Pull up what John just put in the chat just now at 8:20.
Brandon, Bryce, and Dan will be like the Spider-Man meme.
No, yeah, the Bryson, Dan, and Brandon will be the Spider-Man meme.
Oh, we will. Yeah. No, it's we're gonna have fun with it.
By the way, Brandon,
fully on our hot gear, all hot gear, just draped in it out there, just owning it,
boy,
walking in like chest out, like, what's up? We run this. Go up.
You mentioned you were going to show your horizontal board. I think we ran over for that, but I did just I was going to show you guys this. I'm so far behind where I usually am at this point on watching prospects because the damn Seahawks keep winning. But I hit Staples up today. So I got all my binders, I got my colored pens, I got my tabs, I got everything. I'm digging in this weekend. So
well, we will get you maybe an unveiling of that board next week. I'm about 100 in. So I am I'm still behind. I would have liked to be at like almost 200 at this point because it's going to be a hell of a pull through.
I finished the quarterback class. That's what I finished. I have finished the quarterback class.
What did that take you, 10 minutes?
Not exactly.
I go in depth with my quarterback. Okay, calm down.
Okay, seen enough. Okay, seen enough. Okay, seen enough.
I actually asked ChatGPT today to like work out a schedule for me so I could get through all the Senior Bowl players at least by the time we go. Long story short, I don't get to sleep for the next 10 days.
Oh.
Yeah.
I waited too long.
You might not be if the Seahawks win anyways this weekend, Dan. So there you go.
No need. That's why Celsius was invented.
Hey, well, that's a good built-in excuse. I haven't been able to get the prospects because I've been covering my team on their Super Bowl run. I mean, that ain't empty at that point, right? That ain't, I got to clean up my room. That's like, there's some, good excuse. I guess that's it. So, well, I appreciate you guys doing this. Thank you for hanging on with us today, folks. And we will be getting you some of that grade A draft coverage with us being able to see in person these guys. Our Seahawks will be picking through, but that's down the road. We got some more business at play right now. We got our most heated rival in our history with this Niner team. Their fan base popping off, our fan base popping off. The stadium rocking like many of you have never seen before. You younger fans are in for one hell of a treat. Yeah, I've been in the stadium like a couple times. No.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know what you're in for. Be part of that electrifying community that's going to be in there and turned up to 11 and just be a part of it. Be a part of it, enjoy it, and have fun with that experience. It's been a tremendous pleasure here doing this with you guys here throughout this year. We're going to be cooking this up through, of course, the off season and again on to next week. Again, we'll be right back at you once again. But until then, Seahawks, go get this win. Your better team. This Niner team is limping. It's as Bryce put this onto it earlier on this. You got them like you're the knight in Monty Python. You've hacked off the legs. Their foot's falling off. They don't have a nose anymore, maybe one ear. And they're sitting there squawking about flesh wounds. Okay? Cut them out from under the legs and move it on down the road. What was that? I'm good. Come again. Get over here, Dan. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet, I tell you. You're a coward. Coward, I tell you.
It's nothing but an ACL.
A bloody coward. You're just scared of me. Get over here. You're bleeding, you fool. All right. Well, we'll be back. I could do this all night, guys. Let's get you out. All right. We will be back again next week. Thank you, folks, for watching. Again, do get subbed up. Hit these boys like button on wherever you be watching this channel. And until next time, we'll be back next week to celebrate a big time Seahawks W. But please, never forget, don't you dare. 1, 2, 3.
Go
Hawks. Hey, that's the closest we've come. That's as close. We've come close. We're getting close, boys. We're almost on it here. Be right. Have a good one, folks.